Chapter 88. Boom. Crack. After a while, loud noises could be heard from the dense forest outside the valley. Thick and strong trees fell down one by one. The noise was so great that it shocked everyone. What's going on? The 15 people who were drinking suddenly stood up and looked through the entrance of the valley towards the dense forest. But because it was too dark, they couldn't see anything. The oldest old man shouted, "Old 4, Old 5, go and take a look. No matter who it is, kill them directly." Understood. The two old men nodded and immediately ran towards the entrance of the valley. Not far away, there was a small hill. Qin Feiyong lay in the grass and looked at the entrance of the valley. He frowned when he saw that only 2 people came out. It seemed that this trick didn't work. What else could he do to lure them all out? Right. Am I not the best bait? Qin Feiyong, don't run. He pinched his throat slightly and suddenly roared. What? Qin Feiyong. The 2 old men who came out first rushed towards the forest as if they were injected with chicken blood. At the same time, the eyes of the people in the valley were also shining. Hurry up, as long as we catch Qin Feiyong, we can not only return to Black Bear City, but also be rewarded by the Lin family of Yen City and King Yen. This is a great opportunity. We can't miss it. Whoosh! More than a dozen people ran out of the valley as if they had taken stimulants, including the 2 guards. Sure enough, I'm the most popular one. Seeing everyone running out, Qin Feiyong's lips curled up into a cold smile. Then, he directly entered the ancient castle. When the footsteps were far away, he left the castle and went to meet up with Ling Yunfei. At the same time, Ling Yunfei also quietly slipped into the valley. After pouring the venom into the 15 people's wine jars, he quickly left the valley and hid in his original position. Looking at the dense forest, he couldn't help but worry. Suddenly, a hand appeared behind Ling Yunfei and rested on his shoulder, startling him on the spot. "Don't make a sound, it's me." Qin Feiyong's voice rang out. Ling Yunfei heaved a sigh of relief and asked, "Where are they?" Qin Feiyong smiled and said, "He went to look for Qin Feiyong." Ling Yunfei shook his head and laughed in spite of himself. He said, "Just now when I saw that only 2 people came out, I thought that the plan would fail. I didn't expect you to be so quick-witted and use Qin Feiyong as bait." How could he have known that the person standing in front of him was Qin Feiyong himself? "I just thought of it at the last minute. Now, we'll just wait for them to come back and catch them all in one fell swoop." Qin Feiyong's eyes surged with killing intent. "We chased after it as soon as it roared, but we didn't manage to catch up. How unlucky." It said that Qin Feiyong is only 15 or 16 years old, but isn't his speed too fast? We can't underestimate him. People who are wanted by the royal family are definitely not simple. Although we didn't find him this time, at least we already know that he is near the Black Bear Mountain. As long as he is near here, he can't escape from our hands. That's right. After dawn, we'll go and look for him carefully. Hundreds of breaths passed. The 15 people walked out of the dense forest, talking as they walked towards the valley. After they entered the valley, Qin Feiyong and the other 2 also followed them in without making a sound. They hid behind the rock from the beginning. The 15 people sat down around the bonfire again. After chatting for a while, the oldest old man stood up with a wine jar and said with a smile, Come, let's celebrate. It wasn't easy to kill those 2 little bastards. We should really celebrate. Tomorrow, we'll go to the snake cave, kill that bastard, and dry it into snake jerky to go with wine." The 2 guards also stood up and said with a smile, "Celebrate?" Hiding in the dark, Qin Feiyong and the other person's eyes became extremely cold. The oldest old man laughed and said, "Come, let's drink to our heart's content tonight." The 15 people held their wine jars and gulped down the wine. Crack! The old man whose arm was cut off by Qin Feiyong suddenly trembled. The wine jar in his hand fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. What's wrong? The poison acted up so quickly? Qin Feiyong and the other person were stunned. They originally thought that the poison would only act up after a while. After all, these people were all martial arts grandmasters. But they didn't expect the poison of the single-horned python to be so terrifying. The real reason was that the old man had lost too much blood. His body was weak and his resistance had decreased. That was why the poison acted up so quickly. "Old 8, what's wrong with you?" The other 14 people who didn't know the truth looked at the old man in confusion. There's something wrong with this wine. Spit it out. Old 8 growled and was the first to lie on the ground. His fingers dug into his throat and he vomited. What's wrong? Everyone was puzzled. There's poison. Old 8 shouted. What? The others were shocked. Ah! But at this moment, Old 8 screamed and fell to the ground. He was foaming at the mouth and his whole body was twitching non-stop. That's right. It's a sign of poisoning. The rest of the people turned pale. Bang bang. Ah! The 2 guards also fell to the ground at the same time. Their hands were clutching their necks and they were screaming in pain. Their lips were turning black at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was obvious. Their strength was not as strong as the other elders of the Ling family. Now is the time. Hurry up and stop them from taking the antidote pill. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang shouted in a low voice. The 2 of them rushed out from behind the rock almost at the same time. The scene was a mess. No one noticed them. Who has the antidote pill? Take it out quickly. The old man roared. I have. One of the guards shouted with all his strength. The older man rushed over and pulled the Chenkuan bag tied to the guard's waist. He was about to take out the antidote pill. Zhang Haotian, Ling Yunfei. Why are you here? At this moment, one of the elders noticed Qin Feiyang and Zhang Haotian behind him. He suddenly exclaimed and his old face was filled with disbelief. What? The rest of the people were shocked and turned to look. They were not dead. Grab the Chenkuan bag. Qin Feiyang shouted explosively. He suddenly stomped on the ground and leaped high into the air like an eagle. The older man suddenly realized and shouted, They are the ones who poisoned us. Hurry up and stop him. There were still 11 people who had not been poisoned. Hearing this, their eyes were filled with killing intent as they leaped up to stop Qin Feiyang. Ah! But they had just jumped up. 10 of them screamed and rolled to the ground. Their bodies were twitching and white foam was coming out of their mouths. It was obvious that the poison was acting up. But one of them was fine. Without a doubt. This person and the older man were the 2 two-star martial grandmasters that Ling Yunfei mentioned. Go to hell. He grabbed Qin Feiyang's ankle. Seething with anger, he flung it forcefully. At that moment, Qin Feiyang was like a meteorite. With a bang, he hit a rock beside him. He spat out blood and his ribs were broken on the spot. At the same time, Ling Yunfei took the opportunity to step over the bonfire and pounce on the older man's Chenkuan bag. Unfilial son. The older man roared and slapped Ling Yunfei's left shoulder. Bang! Immediately, Ling Yunfei was sent flying by the slap. He spat out blood and his right shoulder was fractured. His skin was torn and his flesh was badly mutilated. His consciousness was also fainting quickly. I'll kill you later. The older man smiled and took out a detoxification pill. He was about to consume it. But at this moment, Ling Yunfei gritted his teeth and pounced on the older man. He waved his left hand and slapped the detoxification pill and the Chenkuan bag away. He then bit the older man's ear. He had actually bitten off the ear. Ah, the pain made the older man's face contort and he howled in pain. Seeing this, the man who seriously injured Qin Feiyang hurriedly ran towards the 2 of them. At the same time, Qin Feiyang also gritted his teeth and endured the pain. He kicked his legs and pounced on the man, pushing him to the ground. Then he took out the Chong Xue and stabbed it into the back of the man's head without hesitation. That man died on the spot. You 2 damn little bastards, go to hell. The older man roared at the same time. Immediately after, Ling Yunfei was once again sent flying by his slap. He flew several meters away and hit the ground. He immediately closed his eyes. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. Old thing, I'll kill you. Qin Feiyang's eyes were red. Holding the Chong Xue, he pounced on the older man like a mad beast. His whole body was full of hostility. Seeing this, the old man ignored Qin Feiyang and ran towards the detoxification pill. But after running a few steps, he staggered and fell to the ground. White foam came out of his mouth. His body also began to twitch. His eyes were full of unwillingness as he struggled to crawl towards the detoxification pill. The detoxification pill was about to be in his hands. However, at this time, Qin Feiyang ran over and grabbed the detoxification pill. Give it to me, I beg you. The older man immediately begged in despair. But Qin Feiyong turned a deaf ear to him. He quickly ran to Ling Yunfei and stuffed the detoxification pill into Ling Yunfei's mouth. Because the single-horned python's poison would seep into the blood. Ling Yunfei had just bitten off the older man's ear and must have swallowed the blood. If he did not take the detoxification pill in time, he would also be poisoned. Immediately after, he hurriedly checked on Ling Yunfei's condition. Fortunately, his heart was not hurt. He was lucky to survive and now he just fainted. After giving Ling Yunfei the healing pill and bone replenishing pill, Qin Feiyong got up and turned to look at the older man. This person did not give up and crawled towards the Qianquan bag. Qin Feiyong grabbed Chang Xue and walked over step by step. The pain caused by his broken ribs made his killing intent even stronger. The older man heard the footsteps and begged as he crawled. Please do me a favor and save me. Save you? Qin Feiyong sneered and stepped on the Qianquan bag, saying, a few hours ago, when you killed me and Ling Yunfei, why didn't you show mercy? You want me to save you? Fine, as long as you can crawl over, I'll put the detoxification pill into your mouth. The older man crawled with all his might. But after crawling for a long time, he was still in his original position. He had no strength left, only despair and resentment. Qin Feiyong walked over, looked down at the older man, and said, actually, I have to thank you. Otherwise, I really wouldn't have been able to catch all of you in one fell swoop. A trace of doubt appeared in the older man's resentful eyes. Qin Feiyong said, do you know what was in the snake cave? There was a single-horned anaconda. I almost lost my life in order to kill it. But thankfully, not only did I succeed in killing it, I even obtained its venom. When the older man heard that, it was too late for regrets as he stuttered. How? Did you poison us? Qin Feiyong sneered. You're not unfamiliar with the name Qin Feiyong, right? The older man was enlightened. Qin Feiyong continued, to tell you the truth, I'm actually the Qin Feiyong you're looking for. Zhang Haotian is just a fake name. The elderly man's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Can you die in peace now? Qin Feiyong bent down and grinned, revealing a mouthful of pearly white teeth. With a swing of Chang Xue, a cut appeared on the older man's neck. Blood splattered everywhere, dyeing Qin Feiyong's body red. Chapter 89. The old man died. The others were also poisoned to death. This also meant that the entire army had been wiped out. Qin Feiyong stood up and looked at the corpses around him, but his gaze became colder and colder. These people were at most cannon fodder. The one who really deserved to die was the city lord. He sat by the bonfire, took a healing pill and a bone replenishing pill, looked at the rising flames, and fell into deep thought. As time passed, one breath after another, the bonfire gradually extinguished. The fragrant roasted boar was also burnt. But Qin Feiyong was completely unaware, as if he was an old monk meditating. Gradually, the horizon began to brighten. But there was no sun. The sky was filled with thick clouds, as if a storm was coming, causing people to feel inexplicably depressed. At this time, Ling Yunfei finally woke up, opened his eyes, and looked at the sky in confusion. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something and suddenly got up. As if facing a great enemy, he vigilantly scanned his surroundings. Don't be nervous, they're all dead. Qin Feiyong's voice sounded like a reassuring pill. Ling Yunfei immediately heaved a sigh of relief. It hurts. After relaxing, an intense pain swept over him like a tide, causing him to grimace in pain. Qin Feiyong also restrained his mind, stood up and looked at Ling Yunfei, and said with a faint smile, your injuries are too serious, it's best not to do any strenuous activities. Ling Yunfei asked, what about you? Qin Feiyong said, I'm fine. However, his pale face was enough to show that his situation was not optimistic. Ling Yunfei looked at him doubtfully and said in a deep voice, if the city lord finds out that we are not dead, he will definitely continue to deal with us. Tell me, shouldn't we make the first move? Qin Feiyong shook his head. He is not only the city lord of Black Bear City, but also a genuine war king. How could it be so easy to kill him? Ling Yunfei frowned. This was indeed a difficult problem. Qin Feiyong said, let's go, we'll talk about it when we get back. After collecting the Qianquan bags of the 15 people, the two of them left the valley. However, Not long after the two of them left, another guard of the city lord's mansion ran towards the valley. With such a good opportunity last night, Jiang Haotian should have already been killed by them. He muttered to himself with a bright smile on his face. However, when he entered the valley and saw the 15 corpses, his smile froze. He hurriedly ran over and examined them carefully. In the end, his expression was filled with shock. They were all dead. Who did it? He glanced around and didn't find anyone else, so he immediately returned home. How is this possible? City Lord's mansion. The city lord suddenly stood up and glared at the guard. His face was filled with disbelief. The guard knelt on the ground and said respectfully, "This subordinate saw it with his own eyes. It's absolutely true. What a joke. 2 9-star martial masters, 11 1-star martial great lords, and 2 2-star martial great lords. With such a lineup, who can kill them? Unless Luo Xiong and the others personally take action." The city lord raged in disbelief. The guard said, "Sir, it can't be Luo Xiong and the others." "What do you mean?" The city lord frowned. The guard said, "They were all poisoned to death. With Luo Xiong's strength, there was no need to poison them. If I'm not wrong, it should be Jiang Haotian and Ling Yunfei." "Impossible!" The city lord roared. "It can't be wrong, because I found a few sky blue hairs on the body of the Ling family's grand elder. In the entire Black Bear City, only Ling Yunfei's hair is sky blue." The guard said, "You can't even kill 2 little bastards who are still wet behind the ears. What a bunch of useless trash." The city lord was furious. It was not easy to create such a good opportunity, but in the end, it failed. The guard said, "Sir, don't be impatient. According to my observations, Jiang Haotian and Ling Yunfei must be seriously injured. If we send people to intercept them now, we will definitely be able to kill them halfway." The city lord's heart skipped a beat as he asked, "Are you sure?" "Yes." The guard nodded. The city lord pondered for a moment and nodded. "Okay, you go to the Zhang family and the Mu family now and tell the 2 patriarchs that as long as they can kill Jiang Haotian and Ling Yunfei, this city lord will pretend not to know about their massacre of the Ling family." The city lord is wise. The guard smiled flatteringly, then bowed and retreated. A lake with a radius of 100 feet, lying in a mountain stream. The scales rippled, incomparably clear. On the shore, Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei stood on a bluestone, washing the blood on their bodies. "Sigh, it's really like a tiger being bullied by a dog." Ling Yunfei sighed deeply, both angry and helpless. Along the way, from time to time, fierce beasts jumped out to block their way. If they were in their peak state, they wouldn't be afraid. However, he was still injured. Especially Ling Yunfei, he couldn't even walk too fast. Fighting with those fierce beasts, he naturally couldn't avoid injuries. Fortunately, both of them had a lot of healing pills. Otherwise, it would be a problem whether they could survive until now. Qin Feiyang glanced at the lake while washing, and said in a deep voice, "Don't be in a hurry to complain. There are probably a lot of water beasts lurking in this lake, be careful." Dong. Hua. Before his voice died away, there was actually a fierce beast rushing out of the water, setting off a few meters high wave. It opened its bloody mouth and bit at the 2. That fierce beast was 5 or 6 meters long, covered in dense scales, and 2 rows of saw-like fangs, revealing an unparalleled ferocious aura. Saw-toothed crocodile. Qin Feiyang's face changed, and hurriedly dragged Ling Yunfei and ran towards the jungle behind them. Bang! The saw-toothed crocodile missed and fell to the ground, shaking the earth. Immediately, its 4 limbs moved, making a rumbling sound, chasing after Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei. Its speed was not slower than the 2 of them. Moreover, wherever it passed, the rocks and trees in front of it were directly knocked away. It was incomparably powerful. Why are we so unlucky to encounter such a monster? Ling Yunfei was so angry that he cursed. The saw-toothed crocodile and the black-scale crocodile were social creatures. But the degree of terror was far beyond that of the black-scale crocodile. Not only were its scales hard and hard to break, its fangs could easily bite through steel. Most importantly, it was an amphibious creature. Judging from the speed of this saw-toothed crocodile, it was at least an 8-star martial master. Qin Feiyang could only use the smoke-gathering steps to be on par with its speed. Roar! When the 2 of them ran to the side of a big tree, the withered branches and rotten leaves 3 meters in front of them suddenly opened, and another saw-toothed crocodile swooped out, fiercely biting at the two of them. Heart-lock killing fist. Qin Feiyang's eyes were cold as he punched. Bang! The saw-toothed crocodile was blown away on the spot, and its heart was instantly shattered. You also know the heart-lock killing fist? Ling Yunfei was stunned. However, he immediately realized that he had asked a very stupid question. His heart-lock killing fist was taught by this person. As the master of the killing fist, how could Qin Feiyang not know it? Don't talk nonsense. Pay attention to the surroundings carefully. There could be saw-toothed crocodiles lurking anywhere. Qin Feiyang shouted in a low voice. The two of them continued to flee. Roar! When the saw-toothed crocodile behind them saw that its companion had been killed, it immediately raised its head and roared sorrowfully. Roar! Boom! Crash! This time, it was as if they had poked a hornet's nest. In the lake behind them, saw-toothed crocodiles kept jumping out of the water. Under the withered leaves in the forest, in the grass, and in the bushes, saw-toothed crocodiles of different sizes kept rushing out. It was almost in the blink of an eye. There were no less than 50 saw-toothed crocodiles around Qin Feiyang and his companion. In the distance, there were groups of saw-toothed crocodiles surging towards them, crushing everything in their path. The sound of the rumbling was deafening. Seeing this scene, even with Qin Feiyang's temperament, he could not help but shudder with fear. He said, "It seems that we have unfortunately broken into the nest of saw-toothed crocodiles." Ling Yunfei glanced around and shouted, "There are fewer saw-toothed crocodiles on the right. Let's break through from the right." "All right." Qin Feiyang nodded. At the moment of life and death, the two of them did not care about their injuries and attacked with all their might. They were about to escape from the encirclement. Roar! Boom! But at this moment, a short mountain in front of them suddenly collapsed. A 10-meter-long saw-toothed crocodile rushed out of the dust. Its huge body crushed everything in its way, and its roar shook the heavens and the earth. Those big trees that could only be hugged by 3 or 4 people were bitten off by it. They were like dead wood. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang and his companion immediately turned around and fled for their lives. Because the size of the saw-toothed crocodile would constantly increase with the increase of its cultivation. In other words, the bigger the size, the stronger the strength. And this saw-toothed crocodile was 10 meters long. It definitely had the battle strength of a martial ancestor. However, after running for a few steps, another 10-meter-long saw-toothed crocodile appeared in front of them. At the same time, on the left, on the right, there was another one. Their length was more than 10 meters. They were like small mountains, fierce and impressive. A total of 4 martial ancestor-level beasts made Qin Feiyang and his companion dumbfounded on the spot. In addition to these 4 king saw-toothed crocodiles, there were hundreds of martial master-level saw-toothed crocodiles. How could they escape? Roar! 2 7-meter-long saw-toothed crocodiles rushed over. Heart-lock killing fist. Qin Feiyang and his companion growled at the same time and punched with all their strength. After killing the 2 saw-toothed crocodiles, Ling Yunfei shouted, "What do we do now? Besides killing our way out, what else can we do?" Qin Feiyang's eyes were gloomy. He decisively took out the Xueqi and rushed to the left. If they wanted to escape, they could only avoid the 4 king saw-toothed crocodiles. Xueqi was invincible and easily tore through the scales of the saw-toothed crocodiles. With the help of perfect martial arts, the two of them killed their way forward. They were invincible. Roar! The 2 king saw-toothed crocodiles on the left and the front roared. Their 2 giant tails were raised high and fiercely slapped towards Qin Feiyang and his companion. "No, we can't kill our way out." Qin Feiyang's face sank. He didn't dare to stay any longer. He grabbed Ling Yunfei and entered the castle. Boom! The 2 giant tails fell and the ground cracked on the spot. Roar! Seeing the 2 humans disappear into thin air, the 4 king saw-toothed crocodiles roared in anger. Their giant tails crazily smashed the ground here. After a while, the place was fragmented and dust covered the sky and the sun. At the same time, hundreds of meters away, more than 20 people stood on top of a mountain and looked in the direction of the lake. Their eyes were full of surprise. The leaders were 2 old men. Both of them had white hair and white beards, but their faces were ruddy and hale. The 2 of them were the grand elders of the Mu clan and the Jiang clan. The others were also martial ancestor experts of the two clans. The Grand Elder of the Jiang clan suddenly withdrew his gaze and turned to a middle-aged man beside him. He ordered Jiang Sen, "Go and see what happened over there. If it's Jiang Haotian and Ling Yunfei, don't alert them." Chapter 90. Inside the castle. Qin Feiyang swallowed the healing pill and listened carefully to the movements outside. Ling Yunfei, on the other hand, looked around suspiciously. A moment later. Only then did he come back to his senses. He turned to look at Qin Feiyang and asked, "What is this place? How did we get in?" This reaction was exactly the same as when Qin Feiyang first entered the castle. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed slightly, and said, "You just need to know that it's safe to hide here. Don't ask anything else." "This guy is even more mysterious than I imagined," Ling Yunfei muttered to himself. This was simply too magical. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed that there was such a place in the world. About a few hundred breaths passed. The rumbling outside finally stopped. Following closely, the sound of footsteps could be heard as they gradually disappeared into the distance. Ling Yunfei asked, "Have they left?" Qin Feiyang nodded. Ling Yunfei asked again, "When are we going out?" After pondering for a moment, Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, "There must be some sawtooth crocodiles hiding here. It's best to recuperate first before going out." "All right." Ling Yunfei nodded. Suddenly, as if he had thought of something, he said, "All right, in a month, the people from the Martial Imperial Hall will come to Black Bear City. At that time, I'm afraid we'll have to separate." There was a deep sense of reluctance in his tone. Although they hadn't known each other for long, in Ling Yunfei's heart, Qin Feiyang was his first friend in his life. Therefore he cherished it very much. "Martial Imperial Hall?" Ling Yunfei was slightly startled, and laughed. "No, because in a month, the people from the Danwang Hall will also come. At that time, maybe we can even go to Yen City together." "Is that so? That's great." Ling Yunfei was immediately overjoyed. Hee, hurry up and recuperate." Qin Feiyang smiled. He didn't want to waste any more time. He walked to the iron box and opened it with a drop of blood. He opened the book and continued to copy the fourth stroke. Ling Yunfei's face was full of suspicion as he witnessed this scene. Qin Feiyang glanced at him and said, "There's nothing to see. Quickly focus on recuperating from your injuries. While you're at it, refine the energy-gathering pills and cultivate." Ling Yunfei responded but did not leave. He stood at the side, wanting to say something but hesitated. What happened? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. With a red face, Ling Yunfei looked at him awkwardly and asked, "Do you have any extra qi-gathering pills? My qi-amassing elixirs are all in the martial arts hall's cultivation room." Qin Feiyang was stunned. Ling Yunfei hurriedly said, "Don't worry. I don't lack energy-gathering pills now. When I go back, I'll immediately pay you back in double." Qin Feiyang's face twitched. He was speechless and said, "I'm not worried that you can't pay me back. I just don't understand. Why did you put the energy-gathering pills in the cultivation room? Shouldn't you carry the resources for cultivation with you?" "I wanted to, but the hall master didn't allow it." Ling Yunfei's face was full of helplessness. "Why?" Qin Feiyang was even more puzzled. "The hall master was worried that I would give them away privately," Ling Yunfei said. Qin Feiyang was stunned. There was actually such a thing in the world? Ling Yunfei smiled and said, "In fact, it's okay. Other disciples can only get a few hundred energy-gathering pills every month. If it's not enough, they have to earn it themselves. But I can get as many as I want." Hearing this, Qin Feiyang started to feel envious. Because in this way, Ling Yunfei only needed to focus on cultivation. He didn't need to worry about resources at all. Unlike the Dan Hole, where he had to find the ingredients himself. "Take these energy-gathering pills and use them." He took out a Chenkuan pouch and threw it to Ling Yunfei. There were at least 20 to 30,000 energy-gathering pills in it. So many? Ling Yunfei caught it in his hand and looked at it. He was instantly dumbfounded. "Don't worry. It's for you. You don't have to return it." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. He turned back to look at the iron book and continued to copy. "He's really generous." Ling Yunfei shook his head and murmured. This person must have a strong background behind him. He didn't know that a few months ago, Qin Feiyong was still living a poor life. A dozen gold coins was a huge fortune for him. It wasn't out of Qin Feiyong's expectation. Some of the saw-toothed crocodiles outside returned to the lake and sank to the bottom. Some of them continued to hide in the forest. On the surface, this place looked extremely peaceful. There was no danger at all. However, as long as one walked into this area, no matter who it was, they would fall into a desperate situation. Zhang Sen was a very unlucky person. He was ordered to investigate the situation. However, when he arrived, other than the desolated land, he didn't even see a shadow. However, when he entered the attack range of the saw-toothed crocodiles, the hidden saw-toothed crocodiles jumped out and pounced on him. The 4 king saw-toothed crocodiles also appeared immediately. Although he had the cultivation of a 1-star martial ancestor, he still paid the price of an arm to escape from this area. Similarly, Qin Feiyong also heard the commotion outside. Although he didn't know if they were coming for him, at least he knew that there were other people in this mountain range. Moreover, they were quite strong. Time passed quickly. The next morning, Qin Feiyong closed the iron book and turned to look at Ling Yunfei. He warned, after we go out, don't stop at all. Quickly leave this area. Yes. Ling Yunfei nodded. In fact, their injuries had already healed last night. However, in the face of the saw-toothed crocodiles who were good at camouflage and hiding, it was obviously not realistic to break out at night. Therefore, the 2 of them chose to break out during the day. Today was also a cloudy day. Phew! Qin Feiyong kept taking deep breaths. Although he was mentally prepared, he still couldn't help but feel nervous. After a few breaths, he let out a long breath, grabbed Ling Yunfei and instantly appeared outside. Whoosh! The 2 of them didn't stop at all. They used the smoke-gathering steps and the essence-gathering steps and rushed in the direction of Black Bear City. Roar! A series of deafening roars could be heard. The 4 king saw-toothed crocodiles appeared again, but on the left and right sides of Qin Feiyong. In front, there were only some ordinary saw-toothed crocodiles blocking the way. But even so, they still couldn't be careless. Because the speed of the saw-toothed crocodiles was much faster than them. If they delayed a little, they would be caught up. Clang! Qin Feiyong took out the Chong Shui. Ling Yunfei used the heart-lock killing fist, and every move was fatal. The 2 of them seemed to have transformed into human-shaped Tyrannosaurus Rex. They cooperated perfectly and crazily killed a bloody path. However, such a wanton slaughter completely enraged the 4 saw-toothed crocodiles. With an astonishing murderous aura, they led hundreds of crocodiles and chased after them. Wherever they passed, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked, leaving behind a mess. Hundreds of meters away, they could feel the earthquake. Why is there a sudden earthquake? Could it be a beast tide? The people of the Jiang and Mu families were still looking for Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei nearby. When they heard the movement, they were very surprised. Let's go and take a look. The grand elder of the Jiang family waved his hand and more than 20 people immediately ran over. It's the saw-toothed crocodiles. When he saw the crocodiles, Zhang Sen's face suddenly turned pale. Why are the saw-toothed crocodiles out in full force? Everyone was puzzled. Look, isn't that Zhang Haotian and Ling Yunfei? Someone suddenly exclaimed. The rest of the people looked over and immediately saw Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei in front of the crocodiles. It's really them. So, the crocodiles' riot yesterday must be because of them. It's unbelievable that they dared to provoke these beasts. What do we do now? We don't have to do anything. We just have to watch because sooner or later, they will be torn apart by the crocodiles. More than 20 people stood side by side on a small hill with their hands crossed in front of their chests. Their faces were full of schadenfreude. While escaping, Ling Yunfei suddenly noticed them. His pupils shrank and he said in a low voice, "Why are they here?" Qin Feiyong looked over and frowned. Could it be that the people who appeared yesterday were them? His eyes flashed and he said in a low voice, "Let's go over." Okay. Ling Yunfei nodded. The 2 of them turned abruptly and ran toward the people from the Jiang and Mu families. Seniors, hurry up and act according to the plan. Let's catch them all in one fell swoop. Qin Feiyong shouted anxiously as he ran. What plan? Why don't I know? Ling Yunfei was stunned and looked at Qin Feiyang in confusion. The people from the Jiang and Mu families were also puzzled. Why are you still standing there? Hurry up and do it. Otherwise, Ling Yunfei and I will die. Are you planning to leave us in the lurch? Don't forget that you asked me and Ling Yunfei to lure them here. You can't do this. At most, I won't take any of the gold coins after killing them. I only beg you to save me. Qin Feiyang kept shouting. The people from the Jiang and Mu families were even more puzzled. Was there something wrong with this little beast's brain? However, they didn't realize that the eyes of the 4 king sawtooth crocodiles had already locked onto them. Their huge eyes flashed with a frightening light. Seniors, please help us. Although Ling Yunfei didn't know what was going on, he was very cooperative and asked the 20 people for help. His tone and expression were very sincere. Help. The people from the Jiang and Mu families sneered. Jiang Sen was extremely scared. He urged, Grand Elder, the strength of the 4 king sawtooth crocodiles is unfathomable. Let's go. The Grand Elder of the Jiang family didn't give the order. He turned to the Grand Elder of the Mu family. The Grand Elder of the Mu family said, Don't make unnecessary sacrifices. All right, let's retreat. The Grand Elder of the Jiang family waved his hand. The 20 people immediately turned around and ran into the forest, quickly disappearing. Just as they turned around, Qin Feiyang grabbed Ling Yunfei and entered the castle. However, the 4 king sawtooth crocodiles didn't stop chasing. They led a group of their little brothers and chased after the Jiang and Mu families. Ha! Where are Jiang Haotian and Ling Yunfei? The Grand Elder of the Mu family looked back and suddenly turned pale with fright. Weren't the 2 of them just now? How could they suddenly disappear into thin air? The others looked back and were also very surprised. Something's not right. They're gone. Shouldn't the crocodiles have stopped? Why are they still running here now? Not good. The crocodiles are coming for us. I understand. Jiang Haotian said those strange words just now to mislead the 4 king sawtooth crocodiles. They must think that we're with Jiang Haotian now. This little bastard is really scheming. Retreat! Chapter 91. Behind the group of crocodiles, Qin Feiyang and Mu Haotian appeared out of thin air again. Hearing the angry curses coming from afar, Ling Yunfei laughed mischievously. He gave Qin Feiyang a thumbs up and said, This move of yours is truly ruthless. It's impossible not to admire it. Qin Feiyang grinned and said, Now it's our turn to watch the show. Let's go. The 2 of them stepped forward and followed behind. We can't keep running like this. Let's attack and kill them all. Okay, let's end this quickly. After running for a while, the people from the Jiang and Mu families made up their minds and turned to attack the group of crocodiles. A fierce battle quickly unfolded in the forest. Jiang Haotian, who do you think will win this battle? It should be the Jiang and Mu families. After all, they are both martial arts ancestors. That makes sense. Although the 4 king-level sawtooth crocodiles have unparalleled battle power, the other king-level sawtooth crocodiles can only be used as cannon fodder when facing martial arts ancestors. That's right. But we can be sure that the Jiang and Mu families will suffer heavy casualties in the end. A few hundred meters away, Qin Feiyang and Mu Haotian sat comfortably on a small hill. They looked at the battlefield in the distance and commented. After watching for a while, Qin Feiyang turned to look at Ling Yunfei and asked, Do you have wine with you? Yes. Ling Yunfei nodded and asked suspiciously, I thought you don't drink. Qin Feiyang smiled evilly. The situation is different. When we are doing business, we can't drink. But now we are watching a show. It's more interesting to have wine. That makes sense. Ling Yunfei nodded and took out 2 palm-sized wine jars from his Chengkuan bag. He threw one to Qin Feiyang and kept the other for himself. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and opened the wine jar. He shouted at the people from the Jiang and Mu families. Seniors, quickly kill them. I will treat you to wine later. Ling Yunfei was stunned. Was he trying to make them angry? But it was quite interesting. He also picked up the wine jug, raised his head and took a big gulp. He roared, Refreshing, this is too refreshing. Uncles, if you're tired, come and have a drink. Only when you're full will you be motivated. The people from the Jiang and Mu clans looked at the two of them and were instantly enraged. They were fighting with their lives on the line, but those two little bastards were leisurely drinking wine? Who was the culprit who provoked the crocodiles? If this could be tolerated, what could not be tolerated? The two black-clothed men rushed towards the two of them, carrying a monstrous rage. But at this moment, a king saw-toothed crocodile suddenly raised its huge tail and slammed it towards the two of them. Ah! Following a miserable cry, the two lost their lives, smashed into a bloody paste. Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei looked at each other in disbelief. Who would have thought that this king saw-tooth crocodile would be able to grasp the opportunity? Not only was it ferocious, but it was also so smart. The people from the Jiang and Mu clans would definitely suffer a great loss this time. Qin Feiyang raised the corner of his mouth and said regretfully, "Seniors, I know you like to drink, but there's no need to be so anxious. Look, if you're not careful, you'll die. For a mouthful of wine, is it worth it?" Ling Yunfei sighed, "It's not worth it. Don't be so anxious, okay? We won't drink it all. We'll leave some for you." Bastard! The two of them echoed each other, causing the people from the two clans to explode with anger. Saw-toothed crocodile, listen to this old man, we're not with them. Every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. If you want to settle the score, you should look for them. The great elder of the Jiang and Mu clans roared in exasperation. They had been in Black Bear City for so many years, but they had never been so aggrieved like today. The four king saw-toothed crocodiles roared again and again, crazily bombarding them. However, there were also a small number of saw-toothed crocodiles that turned around and charged towards Qin Feiyang. However, as long as the king saw-toothed crocodiles did not attack, the two of them had the ability to easily deal with them. The fierce battle continued. The land within a radius of hundreds of meters was mercilessly destroyed. Blood converged into a stream, gurgling and flowing. The smell of blood was pungent. Broken corpses and broken arms were scattered all over the mountains. This place had become an Azura hell. A few hundred breaths passed. Of the hundreds of saw-toothed crocodiles, only a few dozen were left, and the others were covered in wounds, including the four king saw-toothed crocodiles. More than half of the people from the Jiang and Mu clans were injured or dead. But overall, the Jiang and Mu clans had the absolute advantage. Seeing this situation, Qin Feiyang turned to look at Ling Yunfei and said, "Let's go." Ling Yunfei nodded. Roar! Two saw-toothed crocodiles pounced over. The two of them used the Heartlock killing fist to quickly finish them off and were ready to turn around and leave. But at this moment, the four king saw-toothed crocodiles roared at the same time, shaking the mountains and rivers. Roar! Following closely, another particularly loud beast roar suddenly exploded in the direction of the lake, shaking the sky, as if responding to the four king saw-toothed crocodiles. And, hearing the beast roar, Qin Feiyang and the Jiang and Mu clans were all surprised. Then, the earth trembled, making a loud bang. Could there be more saw-toothed crocodiles? Qin Feiyang and the Grand Elder looked at each other, and a trace of horror crept up in their eyes. Listening to this movement, if it was really a saw-toothed crocodile, it was probably more terrifying than the four king saw-toothed crocodiles. "Let's go and see!" Qin Feiyang roared. The two of them sped towards the lake at full speed. Running to die? What a pair of ignorant little bastards. Seeing this, the Grand Elder of the Mu clan could not help but sneer. If it was really an existence more terrifying than the four king saw-toothed crocodiles, running there was simply courting death. "Don't worry about them, let's retreat," the Grand Elder of the Jiang clan shouted. However, the four king saw-toothed crocodiles and dozens of ordinary saw-toothed crocodiles, at this moment, were crazily entangled with them, even disregarding their own lives. This abnormal change made the Jiang and Mu clans even more uneasy and anxious. On the other side, Qin Feiyang and the Grand Elder of the Mu clan were running, and a huge monster suddenly entered their sight. It was actually a saw-toothed crocodile, but its size was twice as big as the four king saw-toothed crocodiles. A short mountain of dozens of meters was actually blown away by it. Such a terrifying power was simply appalling. Without a doubt, this saw-toothed crocodile was the real king of the crocodile group. Qin Feiyang did not dare to hesitate at all, and led Ling Yunfei into the castle. The saw-toothed crocodile king was tyrannical and boundless, as if a peerless beast was born, No matter what was in front of it, it was trampled. After it left, Qin Feiyang and the Grand Elder of the Mu clan appeared again, and looking at the huge back, they could not help but feel their scalps tingle. Ling Yunfei swallowed his saliva and asked, "Do you want to go and take a look? If you want to die, go by yourself, don't drag me along." Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. The saw-toothed crocodile king was definitely not to be trifled with. Moreover, after it finished off the Jiang and Mu clans, it would definitely come for them. So the most important thing now was not to watch the show, but to escape. But with the saw-toothed crocodile king in front of them, they had to change their route. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said, "Let's go back the way we came and follow the river back to Black Bear City. That's the only way," Ling Yunfei said helplessly. A moment later, the two of them came to the lake again. The saw-toothed crocodiles came out in full force, so now, this place was safer than any other place. They stood on top of a hill with their hands on their knees. They scanned the lake below and gasped for breath. The lake did not change, but the lake shore had been trampled beyond recognition by the crocodile group. On the left shore, there was a big pit more than 10 meters deep. If he guessed correctly, that big pit should be the place where the saw-toothed crocodile king was hiding. Fortunately, we didn't pass by that place in the beginning, otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Ling Yunfei looked at the big pit and said with a lingering fear. Qin Feiyang let out a long breath, stood up straight, and said, "Don't stay any longer, let's go quickly." Although there was no saw-toothed crocodile, when he thought of the experience of the past few days, he couldn't wait to leave this place immediately. Actually, we shouldn't have taken a detour. Ling Yunfei was a little angry. He thought that this road was very safe, but in the end, he almost lost his life. It was not worth it. "Stop complaining, let's go," Qin Feiyang urged and turned to leave. Ling Yunfei was about to follow. But suddenly, he seemed to have discovered something, and his gaze fell on the big pit again. In the big pit, there were some black things, but they were covered by the soil and were somewhat difficult to distinguish. Ling Yunfei's eyes had a trace of surprise, and said, "Jiang Haotian, look at what that is." Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned, turned around and walked to Ling Yunfei's side. Looking along, he couldn't tell what it was. "Let's go and take a look?" Ling Yunfei asked. "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. The two of them jumped down and walked over carefully. Although it was calm on the surface, who knew if there was any hidden danger? Therefore, it was better to be cautious. After arriving at the big pit, seeing that there was no danger, the two of them jumped into the big pit and looked at the black thing. It looked a little like iron, but their feeling told them that it was not iron. Qin Feiyang reached out and knocked hard, and it actually made a metal-like sound. Could it really be an unknown divine iron? If so, then this time, they had picked up a treasure. The two of them worked hard to dig the soil, and soon they were sweating profusely. But when the black thing was completely revealed, the two of them wanted to cry but had no tears. They even had an impulse to curse. This was not divine iron at all, but the old shell of the jagged-toothed crocodile king. "Bastard, I was happy for nothing." Ling Yunfei was furious. He grabbed the old shell and threw it out of the big pit. With a thud, it fell into the lake. Although the old shell was very hard, it was useless. "How can there be so many treasures in the world? Let's go." Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. He glanced at the pit and was about to jump up. However, that glance made his body and mind tremble. He hurriedly looked down and immediately saw a small tree in the soil. The strange thing was that the small tree was only a finger tall, and it was red all over. There were no branches on the trunk, only 3 fingernail-sized leaves, like clusters of flames. Although the small tree was small, it was full of spirituality. At first glance, one could tell that it was not an ordinary thing. "Why does it look a little familiar?" Ling Yunfei looked at the small tree, full of surprise. "This is the red glass tree." Chapter 92. Red Fire Glass Tree. Hearing this name, Ling Yunfei's body and mind were also shocked. This thing. It could only be described as a treasure. Because the leaves of the red fire glass tree were the main medicinal ingredients for refining the red fire glass pill. The red fire glass pill had a very amazing magical effect. Any warrior below the War King, As long as they took a red fireglass pill, their cultivation realm would instantly increase by 1 step. For example, if Qin Feiyong took one now, he would immediately break through to a 5-star martial master. Who wouldn't be tempted by such a magical effect? It was no exaggeration to say that once the news of the birth of this red fireglass tree spread out, it would definitely set off a bloody storm in Black Bear City. However, nothing could be perfect. Everyone could only take one red fireglass pill in their life. If they took a second one, it would lose its effect and it would be a waste. But even so, it was enough to make anyone go crazy. Qin Feiyong squatted beside the small tree. His eyes were shining brightly. They never thought that they would encounter such a treasure. It was really hard to say what happened in life. If it weren't for Ling Yunfei, who threw the old shell of the Sawtooth Crocodile King out in anger, they would definitely have brushed past this small tree. No one would have thought that such a treasure was hidden under this old shell. Roar! A loud and clear roar of a beast was heard. The Sawtooth Crocodile King was back? The two were surprised. Ling Yunfei hurriedly said, "Pull it out quickly, let's retreat." Qin Feiyong grabbed the trunk, uprooted it, and kept it in his Chenkuan bag. Immediately, the two jumped out of the pit and ran towards the forest without looking back. Bang! Accompanied by a series of rumbling sounds, the Sawtooth Crocodile King returned with the 4 king sawtooth crocodiles. But when it returned to the pit, it found that the red fireglass tree did not fall. It immediately flew into a rage and roared. Hearing the roar, Qin Feiyong was so scared that they broke out in cold sweat. They were afraid that the Sawtooth Crocodile King would chase after them, so they fled for their lives. The two of them didn't stop until they reached the river. Without a care for his image, he sat down on the ground, sweating profusely and panting like a cow. "Do you think the people from the Jiang and Mu families are all dead?" Ling Yunfei asked. "Is there even a need to ask? Not a single one will be left." Qin Feiyong said. "Although we were ambushed, it was worth it to get a red fireglass tree." Ling Yunfei laughed. "Indeed." Qin Feiyong nodded with a smile on his face. In the end, the person they should thank was the city lord. If he hadn't schemed to harm them, how could they have obtained this treasure? As the saying goes, one should know how to repay kindness. In the future, he would surely repay this person properly. Who? Ling Yunfei let out a long sigh. He moved closer to Qin Feiyong and asked, "When we go back, who do you plan to ask to help you refine the red fireglass pill?" Qin Feiyong was stunned and said speechlessly, "I know how to refine pills myself. Why do I need other people's help? Moreover, do you think that other people will help you for free?" Naive. If he really asked other people to help him, he would definitely get a share. It wasn't worth it. You. Ling Yunfei looked at him with a doubtful face. Obviously, he didn't believe that Qin Feiyong could refine pills. "What's wrong with me?" Qin Feiyong was puzzled. Ling Yunfei said with disdain, "You've only been in the pill hall for a month. I guess you can't even refine the body-tempering pill, let alone the red fireglass pill. Don't waste the leaves of the red fireglass tree." Qin Feiyong's face twitched. So in this guy's eyes, he was so unbearable. Fine. He didn't want to talk nonsense. He would use his actions to prove it. Ling Yunfei laughed and said, "Don't be angry. Brother, I'm just stating facts." "All right, I have something to ask you." "What?" Qin Feiyong said. Ling Yunfei asked curiously, "Who refined the supreme grade pills that Fatso sold last time?" "I don't know." Qin Feiyong shook his head. Ling Yunfei said, "You really don't know, or are you just pretending?" Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes and said, "Then if I tell you that I refined them, would you believe me?" "I'd be a fool if I believed you." Ling Yunfei rolled his eyes. He had never seen such a narcissistic person. He stood up and said, "I haven't gone back for a few days. Mother must be worried about me. Let's go back." "I don't plan to go back." Qin Feiyong shook his head and said, "Don't want to go back? Then where are you going?" Ling Yunfei was stunned and looked at him doubtfully. "If we go back now, when the city lord finds out that we're not dead, he will definitely find ways to deal with us. Instead of suffering this, it's better to hide and meditate for a month. When the people from the Danwang Hall come, we can go back." Qin Feiyong said. He didn't have so much time to waste on insignificant people. "It seems to make sense, but if I don't go back, my mother, Ling Yunfei hesitated for a moment, gritted his teeth and said, "Forget it. When we go back, we'll slowly apologize to her." Next, the two hid in the castle and began to meditate. The Serpentine Crocodile King was still in the mountains, causing chaos in the area of thousands of meters. Anyone who hunted in the vicinity would suffer an unexpected calamity. Finally, it couldn't find the thief who stole the red glass tree. It had no choice but to give up and return to its nest. Late at night, two one-armed old men covered in blood and scars appeared outside the gate of Black Bear City. They were the grand elders of the Mu clan and the Jiang clan. Out of more than 20 people, only the two of them escaped. The others all died under the Serpentine Crocodile King. Although they were lucky enough to escape, they lost an arm. This time, they were ordered to go into the mountains to kill Qin Feiyang. It could be said that the Jiang and Mu clans suffered a double loss. The appearance of the two didn't cause any commotion. The two guards guarding the city led them to the city lord's mansion. Seeing the two's miserable state, the city lord was shocked, but he was most concerned about Qin Feiyang's life. The two also vowed that Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei were dead. Because at that time, they saw with their own eyes that Qin Feiyang ran in the direction of the Serpentine Crocodile King. After that, they didn't see the two again. It was enough to say that the two were eaten alive by the Serpentine Crocodile King. Although he didn't see the bodies, the city lord was convinced. Because the two's strength was not bad, it was impossible for them to fail. And he firmly believed that the two dared not lie in front of him. The next day, a notice appeared at the 4 city gates. The content was that the real culprit who massacred the Ling clan had been executed and died in prison. It asked everyone to stop talking about this matter. However, it didn't announce who the real culprit was. As for what the real culprit looked like, no one knew. Some people who doubted it only dared to talk about it in private. But once the notice was out, the matter of the Ling clan being massacred was finally settled. Black Bear City also gradually calmed down. But it was only on the surface. In the dark, all the clans were fighting in full swing. But the fights between the clans happened every day. As long as it didn't cause too much of a commotion, no one would care. Time passed day by day. After not seeing Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei for a long time, Luo Xiong and the martial arts hallmaster started to feel uneasy. On this day, the martial arts hallmaster came to the pill hall personally to discuss countermeasures with Luo Xiong. After eliminating all possibilities, the two of them personally led people to search the entire city. After searching the city, they went outside the city. But in the end, the two forces turned the area upside down and still couldn't find Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei. This time, Luo Xiong and the martial arts hallmaster couldn't help but suspect that the two of them might have died somewhere. They might even have been killed by a traitor. But without any evidence, they didn't dare to ask anyone. They could only send people to investigate openly and secretly, hoping to find some clues. But until the people from the Martial Arts Hall and the Danwang Hall came to Black Bear City, there was still no news. In the Pill Hall's guest hall, Luo Xiong was supposed to be sitting on the main seat at the top. But now, a purple-clothed youth was sitting there. He was about 25 or 26 years old. His figure was tall and straight. He was elegant and gentle. There was also an amiable smile on his extraordinarily handsome face. This person was from the Danwang Hall. He was in charge of the assessment this time. But now, only Elder Mo was attending to him. Luo Xiong and Feng Cheng were nowhere to be seen. A moment later, the purple-clothed youth put down his teacup and turned to look at Elder Mo. He asked with a smile, "Elder Mo, it's been an hour. Why isn't Hall Master Luo here yet? If he's busy, we might as well not disturb him. Just go and get the name list and give it to me." This, Elder Mo hesitated for a moment and asked, "Should I go and take a look?" "That's good too. Go and come back quickly." The purple-clothed youth nodded and smiled. Elder Mo got up and quickly went to Luo Xiong's courtyard. Without knocking, he barged in. Luo Xiong and Feng Cheng were sitting on the stone bench in the courtyard. Their faces were gloomy and they were silent. The atmosphere here was especially heavy. Elder Mo strode over and frowned. "What are you still sitting here for? That Lin Chen is about to lose his patience. And the name list for tomorrow's assessment. Have you decided?" Feng Cheng said angrily, "We haven't even found Jiang Haotian. What name list is there? If we can't find Jiang Haotian in this lifetime, Are we going to drag it out like this forever? I admit that Zhang Haotian's talent in alchemy is unparalleled. However, we can't break the rules because of him. We can't delay the future of other disciples because of him. You are all leaders of the Pill Hall. Do you still need me to remind you of this? Elder Mo shouted. Feng Cheng glared at Elder Mo. Luo Xiong was still silent. Sigh. After a long while, Luo Xiong sighed softly and said, Old Feng, there's still no news of Zhang Haotian. He must be dead. Let's just pretend that there's no such person. Feng Cheng shook his head and said no. He's such a smart kid. How can he die outside? I don't believe it. Luo Xiong pondered for a while and nodded. All right. Go and look for him again. If you can't find him by tomorrow morning, I can only give the name list to Chang Yi. Elder Mo frowned and said, Hallmaster, Lin Chen wants the name list now. Luo Xiong waved his hand and said, It's fine. I'll go and talk to him. I'll give him the name list tomorrow. I believe he'll still give us this face. Old Mo, you go with Old Feng. Yes. Elder Mo nodded. Luo Xiong stood up and walked out of the courtyard. He walked towards the guest hall in big strides. He was frowning along the way. Bastard kid. When I find you, I'll skin you alive. In the courtyard. Chapter 93. Qin Feiyang didn't know what the three big shots of the Pill Palace were thinking. But he had already come out of seclusion and was on his way back to Black Bear City. After a month of seclusion, the fourth stroke of the Huan character formula had been successfully copied. At the same time, he had also become a 5-star martial master. As for Ling Yunfei, although he didn't break through to 6-star martial master, he wasn't far from it. But when he saw Qin Feiyang's cultivation method, the shock in his heart couldn't be described with words. Copying a stroke could actually increase one's cultivation? It was simply a miracle. If he didn't see it with his own eyes, he wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. In short, in his eyes, Qin Feiyang was an out-and-out monster. No matter what strange things happened, he wouldn't find it strange. The two of them walked along the river as fast as lightning. The beasts and water beasts they encountered weren't very strong and were quickly dealt with by them. Half an hour later, they came to the place where they were ambushed that night. Awoo! Bang! Bang! Just as they were about to cross the river, a wolf howl came from the forest behind them. At the same time, there were also sounds of fighting. Qin Feiyang's body stiffened, and he suddenly turned his head to look at the forest. Why was there a wolf howl? Could it be Wolf King? Ling Yunfei also turned to look in that direction and frowned. I remember that the snake cave is over there, right? Let's go and take a look. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, activated the Luo Yen steps, and rushed forward. Haha, beast. Let's see how you escape today. When we catch you, Qin Feiyang will definitely come to save you. At that time, we will set a trap and catch all of you in one fell swoop. After a while, too loud laughter came from the depths of the forest. The sound of fighting also stopped abruptly. It was enough to show that the battle was over. But when Qin Feiyang heard this, his body suddenly trembled. It was indeed Wolf King. And listening to these words, its current situation was very bad. No matter who you are, you will all die today. His eyes burst out a bone-piercing killing intent. Even Ling Yunfei, who was next to him, could feel it clearly. In front, 300 meters away, Wolf King lay on the ground, covered in wounds and dripping with blood. That was not all. Its 4 legs were also broken. Lying in a pool of blood, he was unable to move. However, its eyes were staring straight ahead, filled with ruthlessness. There were 2 young men in luxurious robes. One of them was Mu Fei. The two of them looked at Wolf King and laughed heartily. The other person was holding a wooden stick that was as thick as an arm. The wooden stick was also covered in blood. Obviously, Wolf King's 4 legs were broken by this person with this wooden stick. Mu Fei picked up a thick branch and poked Wolf King. Seeing that he was motionless, he immediately gave him a thumbs up and complimented him. Big brother, you are really amazing. You got rid of this beast so quickly. Mu Yang raised his head and said proudly, Isn't that obvious? I, your big brother, am a 6-star martial master. Isn't it easy to deal with a wolf cub? Yes, 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 with your ability, not to mention this beast, even if Qin Feiyong sees you, he will definitely be scared to the point of peeing his pants on the spot. Mu Fei nodded again and again. Mu Yang laughed and said, Big brother likes to hear this. We brothers are lucky today. It's rare for us to come out, but we encountered it. When we bring it back, father will definitely be very happy. Of course. But we can't give this beast to the city lord, because he will take our credit. We will directly hand it over to Master Lin Liang. In this way, our Mu family can be considered to have a relationship with Yen City's Lin family. At that time, we will have a meteoric rise. Mu Fei said. That makes sense. Mu Yang nodded, patted Mu Fei's head, and laughed. I didn't expect your brain to work so well. Mu Fei rubbed his head and laughed. Suddenly, his gaze turned cold. He looked at Wolf King and said, Big brother, last time I suffered a big loss at the hands of Qin Feiyong and this beast. Can you let me teach it a lesson first? Mu Yang said, Up to you as long as you don't kill it. Mu Fei was overjoyed. He glanced around and picked up a branch as thick as a thumb. Pa! He waved his hand and whipped Wolf King's body. Wolf Cub, weren't you very arrogant last time? Not only did you steal the blissful flower, you also robbed me of all the gold coins. If you have the ability, stand up now and meet up with this young master. Hurry up. What are you still lying there for? Come on, you damned beast. He cursed while cursing. At the same time, he crazily whipped Wolf King. This scene was just seen by Qin Feiyong, who had rushed over. Suddenly, his anger was monstrous, and his killing intent soared to the sky. Without a word, the true qi in his palm surged towards the two of them. Zhang Haotian, Ling Yunfei. Hearing the commotion, Mu Fei and Mu Yang turned around and their expressions suddenly changed. Didn't they say that the two of them had been killed? Why did they suddenly appear here now? To hell with it? Mu Fei hurriedly threw away the branch and hid behind Mu Yang. Even if he's not dead, he's just a 4-star martial master. What's there to be afraid of? Mu Yang glared at Mu Fei and calmed himself down. He turned to look at Qin Feiyong and sneered. To be able to escape from the Sawtooth Crocodile King, I have to say that you're really lucky. Qin Feiyong turned a deaf ear, and his face was extremely cold. Seeing this, Mu Yang's eyes also surged with a strong killing intent. Since they were not dead, he might as well finish them off here. Reckless Ox Fist. He threw away the wooden stick in his hand and took a step towards Qin Feiyong. As he approached, his true qi gushed out and he threw a punch. Wind Thunder Palm. Qin Feiyong let out a low roar. His arm shot out explosively and slapped towards Mu Yang's fist. Bang! After the first exchange, both of them retreated. 6-star martial master. Qin Feiyong's pupils contracted. Mu Yang had only used a superior martial technique, Reckless Ox Fist. Mu Yang's Wind Thunder Palm was a perfect martial technique. In addition to his cultivation as a 5-star martial master, his palm had the strength of 9 barbarian elephants. However, Mu Yang was able to tie with him. This was enough to prove that he was a 6-star martial master. Compared to Qin Feiyong, Mu Yang was even more shocked. After stabilizing his body, he stared at Qin Feiyong and said in a low voice, "What's your cultivation? You only need to know that it's enough to kill you." Qin Feiyong smiled coldly. His killing intent was bone-chilling. Bang! He took a step forward, and the ground shook. When he took another step, his speed suddenly skyrocketed. Shifting smoke steps. His current speed was 4 times faster than before. Even if Mu Yang's strength was on par with his, he was confident that he could kill him in a second. What a fast speed. Mu Fei, take that wolf and run. Mu Yang's face changed greatly. He roared at Mu Fei and threw a punch at Qin Feiyong with all his strength. At the same time, Mu Fei quivered and turned to run toward Wolf King. Qin Feiyong shouted, "Ling Yunfei, stop him." However, Ling Yunfei acted as if he didn't hear anything. He looked at Wolf King and Qin Feiyong in surprise. He cared so much about that wolf? Could it be that Zhang Haotian was Qin Feiyong? Damn it! Qin Feiyong cursed and roared, "White-eyed wolf, stand up if you don't want to die." At the same time as he roared, he used the shifting smoke steps and dodged Mu Yang's punch. He took out the Chong Shui and stabbed Mu Yang's right leg. Blood suddenly spurted out. Ah! Mu Yang knelt on the ground on the spot and screamed. At the same time, Mu Fei stretched out his hand and grabbed Wolf King's tail. This pain, this injury, it's nothing. I can't let little Qin Zi look down on me. Wolf King roared in his heart and suddenly got up. Where the limbs were broken, the bone spurs instantly tore through the flesh and blood, piercing through the fur. Blood spurted out. The pain almost suffocated him and he almost fainted. But he didn't fall. There was no scream. It suddenly turned around and pounced on Mu Fei, biting off Mu Fei's throat in one bite. Bang bang. Then one man and one wolf both rolled on the ground. Mu Fei died on the spot with his eyes wide open. Wolf King's consciousness was also swallowed by the darkness. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang took out the Chong Shui and hurriedly ran toward Wolf King. Mu Yang took the opportunity to escape toward Black Bear City without looking back. Ling Yunfei next to him was still indifferent, looking at the man and the wolf. His face was full of disbelief. After Qin Feiyang came to Wolf King's side, he took out a large number of healing pills and bone-replenishing pills and stuffed them all into Wolf King's mouth. White-eyed wolf, please don't let anything happen to you. He was burning with anxiety, looking at the dying Wolf King. His eyes were filled with tears, blurring his vision. Don't worry, your brother Wolf is bigger than Daifuku, I won't die. Wolf King grinned and fainted on the spot, unconscious. Qin Feiyang was shocked. He hurriedly stretched out his finger and put it in front of Wolf King's nostrils. It was breathing. He was still worried. His hand was gently placed on Wolf King's lower abdomen. There was a heartbeat. Phew! At this time, Qin Feiyang heaved a sigh of relief. With a wave of his hand, he kept Wolf King into the castle. He got up and glanced at Ling Yunfei, walked to the wooden stick, bent down, grabbed it, and chased after Mu Yang. Mu Yang's thigh was stabbed and he was limping. He was not even half of his usual speed. Therefore, in less than 10 breaths, Qin Feiyang caught up. Bastard! How dare you bully White-Eyed Wolf, I'll cripple you! With a furious roar, he swung his staff at Yi Zichen. Crack! Mu Yang's left leg was broken on the spot. He fell to the ground and ate a mouthful of mud. I'll treat you the same way you treated Wolf King. No, I'll pay you back double. Qin Feiyang walked up. His whole body was overflowing with hostility. He swung the stick again and broke Mu Yang's other leg. Ah! Mu Yang screamed. The severe pain had already distorted his facial features. Do you know pain now? Qin Feiyang waved his arm and the wooden stick fell, breaking Mu Yang's left hand again. Just kill me! Mu Yang roared hysterically. Kill you? How can it be so easy? I want you to taste the feeling of living a life worse than death. Qin Feiyang was seething with anger. When he thought of Wolf King's miserable state, he wished he could pierce through the sky. Crack! The stick fell and Mu Yang's right hand was also broken. At this moment, he was completely desperate. The person in front of him was a devil. He would never let him go. Qin Feiyang squatted on the ground, opened his mouth, revealing a mouthful of white teeth, and asked with a smile, "Where should I hit next? Can you give me a suggestion?" Looking at Qin Feiyang's expression, Mu Yang suddenly couldn't help but feel cold all over. Chapter 94. After torturing him for so long, it's time for you to vent your anger. Just give him a quick death. Ling Yunfei walked over and persuaded. Does it have anything to do with you? Qin Feiyang asked without turning his head. It has nothing to do with you. Ling Yunfei shook his head. Since it has nothing to do with you, then don't bother. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. He stood up and swung the wooden club at Mu Yang's head. But at this moment, Ling Yunfei grabbed Qin Feiyang's wrist. What do you want to do? Qin Feiyang abruptly turned his head and looked at Ling Yunfei. A cold light flickered in his eyes. He humiliated me before. I want to kill him with my own hands. Ling Yunfei said. He patted his Chenkuan bag and a dagger appeared. He grabbed the dagger and turned around. With a wave of his hand, he slit Mu Yang's throat. You! Mu Yang's eyes widened in anger. He seemed to want to say something, but before he could say anything, he fell to the ground and died. How satisfying! Ling Yunfei smiled and wiped the blood off the dagger. He turned around and looked at Qin Feiyong. Just as he turned around, Qin Feiyong grabbed his clothes and said sternly, "Do you think I'm a fool? If you think you can soar to the sky after entering the martial arts hall, then let me tell you, you are gravely mistaken." Ling Yunfei said, "I think you misunderstood. I really don't mean anything else." Qin Feiyong sneered, "Is that so? Then why didn't you do anything when I asked you to stop Mu Fei? If this is the so-called killing sword, what's the use of it?" Ling Yunfei's body trembled. An inexplicable panic rose in his heart. He stammered, "At that time, I was thinking," Qin Feiyong said. "Thinking if I'm Qin Feiyong?" Ling Yunfei nodded. Qin Feiyong pursed his lips in ridicule and said, "Then I'll tell you right now. I'm Qin Feiyong. Zhang Haotian is Qin Feiyong." In the distance, a cry of surprise sounded. Qin Feiyong suddenly turned his head and shouted, "Who is it? Come out!" A young man in black rushed out from a bush and ran towards Black Bear City without looking back. Qin Feiyong didn't chase after him. He let go of Ling Yunfei and said expressionlessly, "Now prove to me whether you are a sword or not." Ling Yunfei did not hesitate and chased after that person without saying a word. A short while later, a blood-curdling scream rang out from the distant forest. Ling Yunfei quickly returned to Qin Feiyong's side and said respectfully, "It's been taken care of, but there's still a group of people in the distance. It seems to be Jiang Wei and his gang of scoundrels." Qin Feiyong said, "Do you know? If you had hesitated just now, I would have killed you on the spot." Although Ling Yunfei was also a 5-star martial master and had mastered a perfect martial skill, Qin Feiyong still had absolute confidence in killing him. Ling Yunfei's pupils shrank and said, "Don't worry, I won't tell anyone about your true identity, including my mother." "That better be the case." Qin Feiyong glanced at him and said, "Let's go and see what Jiang Wei and the others are doing." Ling Yunfei nodded and hurriedly led the way. After knowing Qin Feiyong's true identity, he could no longer be as casual as before. In his heart, there was a fear that could not be dispelled. A moment later, Qin Feiyong stood behind a bush and looked ahead. A few hundred meters away, a group of people was rushing over. It was indeed Jiang Wei. The others were all unfamiliar faces. But looking at their clothes and behavior, one could tell that they were a group of hedonistic sons. Ling Yunfei explained, "Apart from Jiang Wei, the rest are also disciples of small families in Black Bear City. Do you want to kill them?" Jiang Wei, Qin Feiyong's eyes flickered as he shook his head and said, "In the past, Luo Qingzhu and her mother helped me many times in Iron Ox Town. As long as Jiang Wei doesn't provoke me again, don't touch him." "So, they also know your true identity?" Ling Yunfei was surprised. "Don't worry, they are more reliable than you," Qin Feiyong said indifferently. Ling Yunfei had a bitter smile on his face. He was obviously mocking him. Ghost. When Jiang Wei and his group ran over and saw Qin Feiyong, they were immediately scared and fled in panic. Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows. Mu Fei and Jiang Wei were like this before, and now Jiang Wei and his group were like this too. Could it be that after not returning for a month, everyone thought that he and Ling Feiyong were dead? No. At first, Mu Yang seemed to have mentioned the Sawtooth Crocodile King. The people who knew about the Sawtooth Crocodile King, apart from him and Ling Yunfei, were only the 20 people from the Jiang and Mu families. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed and said, "Go and capture Jiang Wei." Finished. Ling Yunfei was like a cheetah, rushing out explosively. In a few breaths, he grabbed Jiang Wei and returned to Qin Feiyong. "Behave yourself," he shouted coldly and threw Jiang Wei at Qin Feiyong's feet. Jiang Wei immediately got up and went to Qin Feiyong. He smiled and said, "Brother Haotian, long time no see. How have you been?" Qin Feiyong quickly took 2 steps back, goosebumps all over his body. He said, "Answer me a few questions and I will let you go." Jiang Wei said unhappily, "What are you talking about? You are my brother. Not to mention a few questions. Even dozens or hundreds of questions are not a problem." Qin Feiyong's face twitched and said, "You came here in groups, what do you want to do?" This, Jiang Wei's face changed and hesitated. Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows and said, "Ling Yunfei, drag him and bury him. Remember, bury him alive." Jiang Wei's face turned white and hurriedly said, I'll talk, it's because of Mu Fei." Earlier I received news that Mu Fei came here to find a birthday gift for his father, so I brought a group of brothers and wanted to teach him a lesson, but I didn't expect to meet you. No, it's Big Brother, Big Brother. Jiang Wei waved his hand again and again, looking at Qin Feiyang with a look of horror. In his heart, he was calling himself unlucky. When he goes out in the future, he must first look at the auspicious date. Birthday. Qin Feiyang's eyes narrowed slightly and asked, "What is the date of Lord Mu's birthday?" "Tomorrow," Jiang Wei said. "Then I have to prepare a big gift for him." Qin Feiyang's mouth rose, pursing a smirk. Seeing this look, Ling Yunfei knew that this person must be up to something. Jiang Wei didn't understand, nor was he in the mood to look. He just wanted to deal with it quickly and get away from this evil star. Qin Feiyang secretly sneered and asked, "A month ago, did anyone from your Jiang clan and Mu clan go back alive?" Jiang Wei was stunned. Suddenly, as if thinking of something, his expression changed slightly. He wondered, what happened a month ago? Qin Feiyang shouted, "Drag him and bury him." Ling Yunfei grabbed Jiang Wei's clothes and dragged him to the side. Don't do it, we can talk about it." Jiang Wei hurriedly roared, his face was pale. Qin Feiyang asked, "Do you want to talk now? Tell me." Jiang Wei nodded again and again. Qin Feiyang looked at Ling Yunfei and motioned to let go of him. After Ling Yunfei let go, Jiang Wei sat directly on the ground and wailed on the spot. His face instantly turned into a pig liver color. "What's the matter?" Qin Feiyang was shocked. Ling Yunfei looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Let's make it clear, I didn't plot against him." Then he looked down at Jiang Wei again and frowned. "What are you howling for?" Jiang Wei roared and twitched. He seemed to be in a lot of pain and anxiousness, unable to say a complete sentence for a long time. Ling Yunfei said angrily, "What the hell is going on? Can't you explain it all at once?" "I was burst." "Chrysanthemum," Jiang Wei roared, his face almost distorted. "Burst chrysanthemum?" Qin Feiyang and Jiang Wei were stunned. The next moment, Ling Yunfei burst out laughing on the spot. Qin Feiyang also tried his best to hold back his laughter. His face flushed red. Jiang Wei endured the pain and said angrily, "Hurry up and help me. How can you still laugh? Are you still human?" Cough. Qin Feiyang coughed dryly and stretched out his hand. Jiang Wei immediately grabbed it. Then, Qin Feiyang exerted a bit of force and pulled Jiang Wei up. Ling Yunfei glanced at Jiang Wei's pants and asked in confusion, "Your pants are not even broken, how could it be?" Jiang Wei said angrily, "Nonsense, do I look like I'm pretending?" Ling Yunfei was dumbfounded. He looked at the ground and laughed so hard that he rocked back and forth. It turned out that there was a sharp stone on the ground. When Jiang Wei sat down just now, he might have been sitting on the stone and hit a certain part of his body. With such a small probability, he was still able to encounter it. His luck was truly heaven-defying. "What are you laughing at? Haven't you seen it before?" Jiang Wei roared, rubbing his butt with all his might, gritting his teeth. "To be honest, this is the first time I've seen it." Ling Yunfei's face turned solemn as he answered seriously. Then, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Bastard! Even you are bullying me." Jiang Wei gritted his teeth and kicked the stone away with all his might, venting the anger in his heart. Ouch! Suddenly, a painful cry came from not far away. The three of them looked at each other. It couldn't be such a coincidence, right? There really was such a coincidence. A woman in tight clothes rubbed her head and ran out of the forest in front. She was wearing an exquisite white mask. Although her face couldn't be seen, her legs were long and slender, and her figure was exquisite. There wasn't any excess fat on her body, so it was possible to tell that she wasn't old. The masked woman walked over and glanced at the three of them, asking, "Were you the ones who threw that stone? I can tolerate being bullied by Zhang Haotian. After all, he is stronger than me. But now, a woman actually wants to bully me. If a tiger doesn't show its might, do you think I'm a sick cat?" Jiang Wei was furious. He took a step forward and looked up at the masked woman in disdain. "I threw it. What do you want?" "What do I want? I want you to eat mud." The masked woman's tone turned cold. She took a step forward and appeared behind Jiang Wei at lightning speed. Following closely, she kicked Jiang Wei's calf. Jiang Wei cried out in surprise and knelt on the ground. Then, she raised her leg again and kicked Jiang Wei's back. Jiang Wei immediately fell flat on his face and fell to the ground, his mouth full of mud. So fast. Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei's pupils constricted. Their gazes were fixed on the masked woman the entire time and had never shifted. But earlier on, they didn't notice how the masked woman appeared behind Jiang Wei at all. It felt like teleportation. Chapter 95. Moreover, when subduing Jiang Wei, the whole process was done in one go without the slightest sloppiness. At a glance, one could tell that this masked woman was not simple. Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei looked at each other and secretly became vigilant. Jiang Wei was now suffering in silence, unable to voice out his bitterness. He thought that he could use this opportunity to regain some dignity, but he never thought that this woman was the real tigress. What day was it today? Why was he so unlucky? Kid, apologize to this great aunt. The masked woman stepped on Jiang Wei's back and said valiantly. Woo woo. Jiang Wei wanted to apologize, but his face was so close to the ground that he couldn't open his mouth at all. Miss, how can he apologize to you like this? Qin Feiyong gave a friendly reminder, but in return, he got a fierce look. The masked woman glared at him and loosened her foot. Pei Pei. Jiang Wei spat out the mud in his mouth and hurriedly said, Great aunt, I'm sorry, please spare me. Humph, the next time you offend me, this great aunt will cripple you. The masked woman snorted coldly and kicked Jiang Wei again. Only then did she stop, but she turned around and stared at Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei, saying, Are you with him? Ling Yunfei hurriedly waved his hand and said, No, we just met him by chance. Is that so? The masked woman looked at the two suspiciously, her eyes a little unfriendly. They're right in front. Follow me quickly. Suddenly, a loud shout rang out. And Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows and looked in the direction of the sound. Not long after, accompanied by a burst of messy footsteps, the group of playboys who had escaped before came back. However, behind them, there were a few familiar faces. It was the great clan elder and patriarch of the Jiang and Mu families. They really didn't die. Qin Feiyong's pupils contracted. Now, there was no need to ask Jiang Wei anymore. The doubts in his heart had already been answered. At the same time, as soon as the grand elders of the Jiang and Mu families saw Qin Feiyong, a cold light flashed in the depths of their eyes. Sensing the two's strange phenomenon, Patriarch Jiang hurriedly said in a low voice, The two little bastards still don't know that we are here to kill them. Don't alert them. Hearing this, the two of them quickly concealed the coldness in their eyes. But secretly, he was already accumulating power and waiting for action. Zhang Haotian, Ling Yunfei, so you're here. I thought you were all killed by the Sawtooth Crocodile King. Those who survive a great disaster are destined for good fortune. Hurry up and come back with us. Everyone is very worried about you. The four of them laughed as they walked towards Qin Feiyong and the other man. Qin Feiyong was taken aback. Since when did the Jiang and Mu families treat him so kindly? Something was wrong. Last time, the appearance of the Grand Elder and the others near the crocodiles was definitely not a coincidence. Suddenly, he felt an inexplicable sense of panic. An uneasy premonition swept through his heart like a tide. Run! After shouting at Ling Yunfei, Qin Feiyong turned around and began to flee. Ling Yunfei was stunned for a moment and instantly understood Qin Feiyong's meaning. He hurriedly turned around and followed behind Qin Feiyong, fleeing into the depths of the forest without looking back. We've been discovered? The patriarch and grand elder of the Jiang and Mu family's eyes suddenly sank. Why are you running? We won't hurt you. I admit that we used to have some conflicts with you, but now we've thought it through. It's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. Yeah, more friends, more paths. The four of them hurriedly chased after them, constantly explaining and comforting. Boss Jiang, are you all right? A group of profligate disciples surrounded Jiang Wei. When they saw him covered in dirt, they were all bewildered. Jiang Wei Ao said, I'm the invincible little overlord of Black Bear City. How could something happen to me? The ones who are in trouble now are Zhang Haotian and Ling Yunfei. These two bastards should be cut into pieces. Then who's she? The group of people looked at the masked woman with suspicion in their eyes. Jiang Wei's pupils suddenly shrank, and he said in a low voice, "Don't provoke her. She's a tigress." The masked woman looked at him unkindly. Great aunt, don't misunderstand, I'm not talking about you." Jiang Wei hurriedly waved his hand and explained while retreating. Large beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. He was extremely nervous. But the masked woman didn't flip out. She raised her head and looked at the direction where Qin Feiyang and the others disappeared. With a trace of doubt, she turned around and walked towards Black Bear City. Strange, who is this woman? Why haven't I seen her in Black Bear City? But looking at her back, she seems a little familiar? Jiang Wei looked at the masked woman's back, his eyes filled with doubt. The masked woman pondered as she walked out of the forest. Black Bear City immediately came into her sight. She stopped and raised her head to look at the city in front of her. Her face under the mask was full of smiles. "Grandfather, I'm back. How are you?" After muttering to herself, she quickly ran into Black Bear City and went straight to the Pill Hall. The Pill Hall is an important place. Do not trespass. However, she was stopped by the 2 deacon elders of the Pill Hall on the way. The masked woman politely bowed to the 2 elders, cupped her hands and said, "Elders, this junior would like to see Elder Feng Cheng and Elder Feng. Would you please inform them?" "See Elder Feng?" The 2 of them were stunned. One of them asked, "Are you very close to Elder Feng?" The masked woman swallowed her words back. Her beautiful eyes flashed with a trace of slyness. She shook her head and said, "Not very close." The deacon elder said, "Since you're not close, then come back at night. Because Elder Feng is not in the Pill Hall now." "Not in the Pill Hall? Then where is he?" The masked woman was slightly stunned and asked, "We don't know either. But he will definitely come back at night. You can go somewhere else first." The 2 deacon elders said. Their attitude was still quite friendly. "Then, sorry to disturb you." The masked woman bowed with a trace of disappointment in her eyes. Then she turned around and left the Pill Hall. I wonder if Elder Feng and Elder Mo can find Jiang Haotian. If they can't find him, then this kid might really be dead somewhere. But I don't understand. Why does the palace master value this Jiang Haotian so much? The 2 deacon elders gathered together and discussed softly. At the same time, outside the city in the forest, the chase was still ongoing. No matter what the Jiang family head and the other 3 said, Qin Feiyang and the other 2 ignored them. They only cared about running away. Seeing that the 2 of them were so stubborn, the 4 of them gradually lost their patience. The Mu family head said furiously, "Today, don't even think about returning to Black Bear City alive." The fox's tail was finally revealed. Qin Feiyang sneered, "You're all hypocrites. Why do you have to pretend to be a good person? You're still so stubborn when you're about to die. How stupid. What you should do now is not to run away, but to kneel down and beg for mercy. If we're in a good mood, maybe we'll let you live." The 4 of them laughed again and again. The distance was constantly narrowing. The 4 of them were all martial arts masters. With the speed of Qin Feiyang and the other 2, how could they escape? Ling Yunfei looked at the 4 people behind him and whispered, "Qin Feiyang, they have made up their minds to kill us. We have to think of a way as soon as possible." "I know." Qin Feiyang scanned the front, looking for a place to hide. Suddenly, he noticed that there was a group of rocks dozens of meters ahead. Suddenly, a plan came to his mind. The 2 of them were as fast as lightning and quickly ran into the group of rocks. The Jiang family head and the other 3 also chased in the next moment after they entered the group of rocks. But when they chased in, they were shocked to find that the 2 of them had disappeared. What's going on? Where are they? Could it be that these 2 little beasts can go up to the sky and into the earth? Destroy this place. We have to find them even if we have to dig 3 feet into the ground. Otherwise, the city lord will not give us a good fruit to eat. Bang bang bang. Boom. Crack. The 4 of them were furious. Their true chi surged and crazily bombarded the group of rocks. The sound shook the sky. Dust and smoke covered the sky and the sun. In a short while, this place was razed to the ground. But when the dust cleared, not even a shadow of a ghost was seen. The 4 of them looked gloomy. "What should we do?" The Mu family head said. "What else can we do?" The two little beasts are like with wings. We definitely can't find them. Let's just wait for them and squat near the 4 city gates. As soon as they appear, we will quickly kill them. The Mu family head said. That's a good idea. Even if they don't appear, it doesn't matter. As long as we can stop them from entering the Danwang Hall and the Martial King Hall, there is nothing to worry about. There will be plenty of ways to kill them in the future. The Jiang family head nodded. The Jiang family head said in a deep voice, then we will act separately. Remember, we must not let them sneak into the city. The 4 of them immediately turned around and rushed toward the Black Bear City. Soon, Qin Feiyong and the other 2 appeared out of thin air. Their faces were very ugly. Blocking the 4 city gates is tantamount to cutting off all their escape routes. These people really deserve to be punished. Ling Yunfei pondered for a moment and asked, Qin Feiyong, do you have any illusion pills on you? Qin Feiyong shook his head and said, no, but even with the illusion pills, it is not easy to sneak into the city. The 2 families and the city lord's mansion have joined forces to block them. Entering the city is more difficult than ascending to the sky. Ling Yunfei suddenly became angry and shouted, bastard, sooner or later I will catch them all in one net. Especially that bullshit city lord, if I don't kill him, I will not be satisfied. Qin Feiyong said, we will talk about this later. Let's split up and see if we can find a chance to survive. We will meet here later. Ling Yunfei nodded. The 2 of them ran around the Black Bear City. As a result, they found that not only the city gates were heavily guarded, but even the city walls were also heavily guarded. Not to mention a person, even a fly would not be able to fly in. If this goes on, how are we going to go to the Danwang Hall and the Martial Imperial Hall? Ling Yunfei was extremely vexed. Suddenly, his eyes lit up and he said excitedly, not long ago, other than the Jiang and Mu families, there were many people who saw us. They will definitely spread the news. When the Hall Master and Luo Xiong receive the news, they should come to save us, right? Qin Feiyong sneered. Don't be so naive. Once the city lord gives the order, who would dare to say anything? Ling Yunfei's heart sank. The current situation was even more serious than he had imagined. However, it's not like there's no turning point. Qin Feiyong suddenly spoke again. What turning point? Ling Yunfei hurriedly looked at him, his eyes full of anticipation. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed, and he said, go to Black Bear Mountain and find the Black Bear King. Find the Black Bear King? Chapter 96. Qin Feiyong and Chang Shui cut through all obstacles and only arrived at the deepest part of the Black Bear King late at night. Tonight, there was no moon or stars. Dark clouds covered the sky. The air was a little stuffy. The surroundings were also pitch black. Senior Bear King, where are you? If you hear us, respond to us. The 2 of them could only hold torches and shout as they walked in the forest. Although they had some dealings with the Black Bear King, they did not know the location of the Black Bear King's lair. Wolf King knew, but he was unconscious at the moment and did not know when he would wake up, so they could only slowly search by themselves. This damned weather is really unbearable. Ling Yunfei walked in front, holding a dagger. As he cleared the path he muttered, looking rather irritated. Qin Feiyong looked at the sky and said worriedly, it should rain later. If we can't find the Black Bear King before it rains, we'll be in big trouble. If it was just a light rain, the impact would not be great. But if it was a rainstorm, the traces of the Black Bear King's activities would be washed away. At that time, it would undoubtedly be more difficult to find the Black Bear King. Suddenly, Qin Feiyong noticed that a black shadow rushed out from the grass in front of them. Be careful. He hurriedly pushed Ling Yunfei away, grabbed Chang Shui with his left hand, and swung at the black shadow. Squeak! At that moment, blood suddenly appeared. A strange sound rang out. A palm-sized scorpion fell on the grass at Qin Feiyong's feet, its body already cut in half by Chang Shui. Killer scorpion. Ling Yunfei's eyes widened as he scanned the surroundings, not daring to be distracted. The appearance of the killer scorpion meant that there were definitely other poisonous insects lurking nearby. Although these poisonous creatures did not look very eye-catching, they were all cold-blooded killers who killed without blinking. Rustle! Whatever he thought of came. The surrounding weeds began to sway violently. When the 2 of them focused their gazes, Their scalps immediately exploded and their faces turned pale. Not only were there groups of killer scorpions, but there were also fist-sized poisonous frogs, palm-sized poisonous spiders, meter-long poisonous snakes, and so on. All of them were poisonous creatures that struck fear in people's hearts. A nest of poisonous insects? Qin Feiyong's face twitched. A few days ago, they had accidentally barged into the nest of the crocodiles. Now, they had entered the nest of the poisonous insects. Wasn't their luck too heaven-defying? Ling Yunfei said, "It's the light of the fire that attracted them. Quickly put out the fire." "Don't. We'll only die faster." Qin Feiyong hurriedly stopped Ling Yunfei. Once the torches were extinguished, their vision went dark. When the poisonous insects swarmed them, they had no way to fight back. But now, even if there were torches and they could see them, it seemed that only death awaited them. Because there were simply too many of them. Even if they had 3 heads and 6 arms, they wouldn't be able to kill all of them. Whoosh! Those poisonous creatures gradually approached, and when they were within the attack range, they rushed out and pounced on the 2 of them. This scene was enough to make anyone tremble in fear. Qin Feiyong didn't dare to hesitate. He hurriedly brought Ling Yunfei and hid in the castle. What should we do now? The 2 of them were burning with anxiety. They were surrounded by poisonous insects. They didn't dare to go out. If they couldn't go out, how could they find the Black Bear King? Phew! Qin Feiyong took a few deep breaths, trying to calm down his anxious heart. Let's wait for a while. If they can't find us, they should leave. At the same time, outside the pill hall. Why isn't Grandpa back yet? The masked lady sat alone on the stone stairs. She supported her chin with both hands and looked at the street in front of her. Her eyes were filled with doubts. Dada. Nobody knew how long had passed. A series of steady footsteps could be heard. The masked lady was happy. She hurriedly ran to the street and looked to the left. Immediately, he saw 2 old men walking over with large strides. They were Feng Cheng and Elder Mo. But at this moment, the 2 of them were more frustrated than anyone else. They had searched every corner of the city carefully, but there was still no news of Qin Feiyong. Until now. They couldn't help but believe that this kid might have really been assassinated. But seeing the 2 of them, the masked lady was overjoyed. She quickly ran over and stopped in front of the 2 of them. She cupped her hands and said, "Greetings, Elder Feng and Elder Mo, get lost." Feng Cheng shouted. He didn't even look at her. He lowered his head and walked past the masked lady. This made the masked lady a little stunned. Elder Mo glanced at Feng Cheng and smiled helplessly. He asked, "Little girl, what's the matter?" The masked lady realized that she didn't know what to say. She was straightforward. She took off her mask. "It's you." After seeing the lady's face, Elder Mo instantly exclaimed. He hurriedly shouted at Feng Cheng, "Old Feng, quickly come and see who she is." "I'm not in the mood," Feng Cheng said without turning his head. Elder Mo's face darkened. He scolded, "You old bastard, you don't even recognize your granddaughter?" "Granddaughter?" Feng Cheng was stunned. He hurriedly turned around and looked at the masked lady. He was instantly overjoyed. He quickly walked in front of the lady and said, "Little girl, when did you come back? Why didn't you inform Grandpa in advance? Grandpa could have gone to pick you up. I just wanted to give you a surprise. But you actually ignored me. I'm so sad." The masked lady felt wronged. Feng Cheng smiled with a doting face and said, "Yes, yes, yes. It's Grandpa's fault. Grandpa will apologize to you. But why are you wearing a mask?" The masked lady went up and hugged Feng Cheng's old arm. She giggled and said, "Isn't it because your granddaughter is born beautiful? She's always being pestered by people, so I can only wear a mask to cover myself." Feng Cheng was speechless. He scolded with a smile, "Little girl, when did you learn to be narcissistic? But this is good too. It can save a lot of trouble." The masked lady giggled. She asked curiously, "Grandpa Elder Mo, I saw that you were frowning just now. Did you encounter something troubling you?" Elder Mo sighed. "It's a long story." Feng Cheng said, "Little girl, you don't know. This time, a good seedling came to our pill hall. Unfortunately, her whereabouts are still unknown." "Good seedling?" The masked lady was stunned. She understood the temper of the 2 old men in front of her very well. Ordinary people couldn't enter their eyes at all. She asked curiously, "Is he more powerful than Xueqi?" "Him," Feng Cheng said disdainfully, "in front of that stinking brat. Xueqi is not even worth a fart." "Is it that exaggerated?" The masked lady was shocked. "It's not exaggerated at all." Elder Mo shook his head. The masked lady asked, "Then who is he? Since you value him so much, he must be very famous." Elder Mo said, "His name is Jiang Haotian. He just came to Black Bear City not long ago." "Wait." The masked lady reached out her hand. Her beautiful eyebrows were tightly knitted. "What's wrong?" The two looked at her, puzzled. The masked lady said, "Is it a young man who is about 15 or 16 years old, wearing sackcloth and looking like a scholar?" "Yes, it's him." "Little girl, how did you know?" The two were surprised. The masked lady said, "When I came back, I met him in the forest outside. There seemed to be a blue-haired, blue-eyed person beside him. It was Ling Yunfei. They didn't die." The two looked at each other. They were so excited that their bodies were trembling. The masked lady said again, "But at that time, the Jiang and Mu clans' patriarchs and grand elders were chasing after them. Do you know the reason?" "What?" Damn it. Immediately, the two's expression changed, and they cursed angrily. "Old Mo, go and inform the hallmaster and the martial arts hallmaster immediately. Ask them to quickly bring people to meet up with me. Little girl, quickly bring grandpa to that forest," Feng Cheng urged. "All right." The masked lady nodded. After putting on the mask, she led Feng Cheng and ran out of the city. "Jiang clan, Mu clan, you've gone too far this time." Elder Mo also turned and strode towards the pill hall. His eyes were filled with killing intent. In the deepest part of Black Bear Mountain, Ling Yunfei asked, "They should have scattered by now, right?" "I'll go out and take a look," Qin Feiyang said. But as soon as he went out, he immediately returned to the ancient castle and shouted at Ling Yunfei, "Quickly help me." On his ankle, a fist-sized poisonous spider was biting his skin. His entire thigh was turning black at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. Ling Yunfei's expression changed. He hurriedly took out a dagger and killed the poisonous spider with one slash. Then, he took out an antidote pill and fed it to Qin Feiyang. Until now, the two of them let out a long breath. Ling Yunfei frowned and said, "Those poisonous insects didn't leave?" Qin Feiyang shook his head and said helplessly, "It seems like we won't be able to get out in a short period of time." Although they had the antidote pill, the number of poisonous insects was too large. They could eat their flesh in minutes. Not even their bones would be left. About half an hour later, Wolf King finally woke up. Qin Feiyang was overjoyed. He immediately went up and asked with concern, "How do you feel?" Wolf King got up and moved around a few times. His eyes were filled with grief. He said with anger, "Little Qin Zi, Brother Wolf is crippled." "What?" The joy in Qin Feiyang's heart was instantly extinguished by the raging anger. However, Wolf King suddenly grinned and said with a smile, "I lied to you. Brother Wolf is very good now. His spirit is very good." "Bastard!" Qin Feiyang was stunned and suddenly became angry. He slapped Wolf King's head and shouted, "How can you joke about this kind of thing? Believe it or not, I'll really cripple you now." Wolf King shrank his neck and said with a smile, "Sorry, I just wanted to make a little joke with you." "Humph." Qin Feiyang snorted and asked, "Aren't you usually very alert? How could Mu Fei and the others run into you? Didn't Brother Wolf get tired of playing in Black Bear Mountain? He wanted to come back to find you. But when Brother Wolf came back, he heard that you had disappeared. Brother Wolf was so anxious that he immediately went all over the mountain to find you. As a result, he was accidentally found by them." Mentioning this, a ferocious glint flashed in the Wolf King's huge eyes. Heard it. Qin Feiyang was moved. With Wolf King's vigilance, this kind of thing was impossible. It was because of his disappearance that Wolf King was anxious and lost his vigilance, so he was discovered. Chapter 97. Wolf King said with a sneaky smile, "Are you touched? Do you want to cry? Then cry. Don't hold it in. No one will laugh at you. Get lost." Qin Feiyong kicked him. This guy really didn't change. Wolf King quickly dodged and smiled. When he noticed Ling Yunfei next to him, he asked, "Why is he here?" His eyes instantly turned cold. "He already knows my identity." Qin Feiyong briefly explained the situation at that time. "So it's like that." Wolf King suddenly understood. He turned his eyes and looked at Ling Yunfei. "How are you going to thank Brother Wolf?" "Who's talking?" Ling Yunfei was surprised. Wolf King could only use telepathy now. Therefore, Ling Yunfei didn't hear the conversation with Qin Feiyong just now. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded in his mind, making him turn pale with fright. But then, he came to a sudden realization. There was only him, Qin Feiyong, and Wolf King here. Who would call himself Brother Wolf? Without any suspense, it must be the wolf in front of him. He looked down at Wolf King and wondered, "Why should I thank you?" Hee, it seems that you still don't know. Do you think that with your little brain, you can get rid of Butler Ling's pursuit? Wolf King looked at him disdainfully. Ling Yunfei was stunned. Originally, he really thought that with his own ability, he could get rid of Butler Ling. But now that Wolf King said this and thinking about it carefully, it seemed that there were indeed many things that were strange. Wolf King said, "Let me tell you, if it weren't for Brother Wolf secretly helping you, you would have been killed by Butler Ling. In the end, it was Brother Wolf who went to ask Black Bear King for help." "So that's how it is." Ling Yunfei suddenly understood and quickly said, "Thank you, Brother Wolf." "Qin Feiyong, thank you too." Without a doubt. It was definitely Qin Feiyong who asked Wolf King to protect him in secret. What's the use of just saying thanks? Why don't you just be Brother Wolf's follower from now on? I guarantee that you'll live a good life." Wolf King said shamelessly. Ling Yunfei was stunned. Become a wolf's follower? Wouldn't that be too embarrassing? The atmosphere was a little awkward. At this crucial moment, Qin Feiyong stood out and smiled. "All right, stop messing around. Let's get down to business. Do you know where the Black Bear King's lair is?" Wolf King said proudly, "Nonsense. Let me tell you, there is nothing in this world that I don't know." "Will you die if you stop bragging?" Qin Feiyong couldn't help rolling his eyes. A leopard cannot change its spots. This saying was indeed true. He looked at Ling Yunfei and said, "The white-eyed wolf knows where the Black Bear King's lair is. Now the only problem is, how do we rush out of the poisonous insect nest?" Ling Yunfei pondered for a moment and said, "I'll go out and lure them away. You guys take the opportunity to find the Black Bear King. Don't forget to come back and collect my corpse." Qin Feiyong asked, "Aren't you afraid of death?" "Everyone is afraid of death. But since I've already promised to be your sword, I should naturally rush to the front and solve your problems." Ling Yunfei's gaze was firm and powerful. Qin Feiyong looked at him and said, "Aren't you afraid that your mother will be sad?" Ling Yunfei hesitated. "All right, I'll go out. As a son, filial piety should be the most important. To be honest, sometimes I envy you. Although your background is miserable, at least your mother is by your side." "And me?" "It's an extravagant wish to even look at her." Qin Feiyong shook his head and laughed at himself. Ling Yunfei was stunned and asked, "Could it be that your mother is already, she's still alive? But there's an insurmountable and unbreakable gap between us." Qin Feiyong sighed deeply, took an antidote, and left the castle. Ling Yunfei frowned and looked down at Wolf King. "Brother Wolf, don't you think that Qin Feiyong has a lot of worries in his heart?" "Brother Wolf already knows. But if he doesn't say, Brother Wolf won't ask. The only thing I can do is to help him silently and support him," the Wolf King said with a smile. His words were filled with deep friendship. Outside. Whoosh! Squeak! Hiss! Qin Feiyong held a torch in one hand and Chang Shui in the other as he sped through the forest. Around him, swarms of poisonous insects shot out from the weeds, bushes, and treetops. They bared their fangs and pounced on him. That creepy cry made one's scalp tingle. "No, there are too many poisonous insects. If this goes on, I'll be swallowed alive by them." Qin Feiyong's face was as heavy as water. In less than 5 breaths, his whole body was crawling with poisonous insects, biting his skin. There were even a few poisonous spiders that tore his flesh and were drilling into his body. There was already an unknown amount of poison in his body. Even the antidote was too late to dissolve it. Fainting came sweeping over. Crack. Boom. Just as he was about to enter the castle. In the sky, lightning suddenly flashed and thunder rumbled, deafening. The poisonous insects on Qin Feiyong's body seemed to be frightened and turned around to flee into the grass. In the blink of an eye, not a single one was left. All of them were gone. Woo-woo, crash, strong winds blew. Torrential rain poured. The storm that had been brewing for a long time finally arrived. The towering trees were all bent in an instant. Qin Feiyong was caught off guard and was directly sent flying. He hurriedly hugged a big tree and stabilized himself. Following closely. With a thought, Wolf King and Ling Yunfei both appeared. Wolf King shouted excitedly, "Wow, it's so cool!" "Cool your sister. Hurry up and lead the way." Qin Feiyong shouted angrily and couldn't help but curse. This white-eyed wolf was really too unreliable. At this time, he still had the mood to shout and shout. "Oh!" Wolf King nodded repeatedly, glanced around, and ran to the right, saying, "Follow Brother Wolf." Wolves were originally nocturnal creatures. In their eyes, there was no difference between night and day. But Qin Feiyong didn't run a few steps before he suddenly fell to the ground and stopped moving. Qin Feiyong. Ling Yunfei immediately stepped forward and turned Qin Feiyong over. His expression suddenly changed. Qin Feiyong's face was frighteningly white at this moment, like a dead man's face. However, his lips seemed to be painted with a layer of ink. His breathing and heartbeat were also extremely weak. It was obviously a sign of poisoning death. At this time, the torch in Ling Yunfei's hand was also extinguished in the storm. For the two of them, it was undoubtedly one disaster after another. "Brother Wolf, Qin Feiyong is dying, come and see." Ling Yunfei roared helplessly in the rain. Heard. Wolf King hurriedly turned around and ran back. When he saw Qin Feiyong's situation, his pupil suddenly became distressed and he said angrily, "Didn't he take the antidote pill in advance? How could it be like this?" Ling Yunfei said anxiously, "The antidote pill can indeed detoxify, but there are at least a dozen kinds of toxins in his body now. The poison is too deep. If we don't think of a way, I'm afraid his life will be in danger." "Damn it!" Wolf King cursed angrily and urged, "Hurry up and carry little Qin Zi to my back. I'll take you to the Black Bear King. It may have a way." Ling Yunfei hurriedly picked up Qin Feiyong and turned over to sit on Wolf King's back. Fortunately, Wolf King's eyes could shine in the dark. Fortunately, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky, so their eyes were not dark. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for Ling Yunfei to ride on Wolf King's back. "Continue to give him the antidote pill." The Wolf King exhorted and howled crazily as it sprinted away. But the howl was drowned out by the thunder. Half an hour later, Wolf King came to a canyon, panting. It was so tired after carrying two people and running for so long that it couldn't howl. But it gritted its teeth and continued to run deeper into the canyon. Bang! Halfway through, its limbs suddenly went soft and it fell down. Two people and a wolf rolled into the mud. "Little Qin Zi!" Wolf King exclaimed. It wanted to get up, but its limbs were weak and it had lost consciousness. It couldn't crawl at all. "Brother Wolf, is the Black Bear King here?" Ling Yunfei asked. Wolf King said, "Yes, yes, yes, it's in the deepest part of the canyon. Hurry up and carry little Qin Zi to find it." After Ling Yunfei carried Ling Yunfei away, Wolf King used all its strength and howled to the sky. Then, it completely collapsed and fell into the mud. It was washed by the heavy rain and fell unconscious. This wolf howl resounded through the night sky. Even the sound of thunder couldn't cover it. Roar! The next moment, a loud beast roar sounded in the deepest part of the canyon. It was as if it was responding to Wolf King. Hearing this beast roar, Ling Yunfei was overjoyed. He used the return to origin steps and ran away. Soon, a little flame entered his line of sight. Crack! A bolt of lightning struck down, illuminating the night sky. Although it was only for a moment, he clearly captured it. At the end of the canyon, there stood a mountain peak that was hundreds of feet high. In the night, it was like a ferocious beast lying there. There was a huge cave at the foot of the mountain, and the fire came from inside the cave. Next to the cave, there were two huge creatures. It was the Black Bear King and the Black Bear Cub. "Why are you here?" When it saw Ling Yunfei, the Black Bear King was quite surprised. Plop! Ling Yunfei strode to the Black Bear King and knelt in the mud, begging, "Senior Bear King, please save Qin Feiyong." Slightly stunned, the Black Bear King lowered its head and looked at Qin Feiyong, who was in Ling Yunfei's arms. Its pupils constricted. "Hurry, carry him in." It turned and walked into the cave. Ling Yunfei got up hurriedly and followed in. Although it was a bear's den, it was tidy, clean and extremely huge. Even with the Black Bear King's massive body, it could move freely. A bonfire burned in the middle. It illuminated the entire cave. The Black Bear King said, "Put him there." Ling Yunfei nodded and placed Qin Feiyong on a pile of hay before retreating to the side. The Black Bear King bent down and observed carefully for a moment before frowning. "Did you give him a lot of antidote elixirs?" "Yes, at least 7 or 8 of them." At this point, Ling Yunfei's expression changed and he asked, "Is there a problem?" The Black Bear King shook its head. "No, no, no. It's all thanks to you giving him antidote elixirs that he's still alive. Otherwise, he would have died long ago." Ling Yunfei heaved a sigh of relief. "Senior, do you have a way to save him?" "I'm not confident." After a moment of silence, the Black Bear King shook its head. Chapter 98. The Black Bear King's strength was monstrous, and even the big shots of Black Bear City were wary of it. Now that even it wasn't confident, who else could save Qin Feiyong? Originally, if Qin Feiyong died, Ling Yunfei should be happy. Because this way, he would be able to break free and regain his freedom. But at this moment, he was extremely sad. The Black Bear King looked at him and said, "Not confident doesn't mean there's no hope. Don't be discouraged. Do as this king says." Heard it. Ling Yunfei's spirit was lifted. He raised his head and looked at the Black Bear King expectantly. The Black Bear King said, "Cut his wrists and ankles and let out blood." What? Ling Yunfei was shocked. Qin Feiyong was already very weak. If he let out more blood, wouldn't he die on the spot? The Black Bear King said in a deep voice, "There's no other choice now. His blood is full of poison. If you want to save him, you can only let out the blood in his body." "You still have to let it out?" Ling Yunfei's eyes widened in anger. "What are you still hesitating for? Hurry up!" The Black Bear King roared, obviously losing his patience. Ling Yunfei's body trembled. He hurriedly took out his dagger and squatted beside Qin Feiyong. But suddenly, as if he thought of something, he turned to look at the Black Bear King and said, "Senior Bear King, Wolf King is still outside. I don't know how the situation is now. Can you help it?" The Black Bear King nodded and growled at the Black Bear Cub. When the Black Bear Cub heard this, it immediately ran out of the cave excitedly and disappeared into the rain. Ling Yunfei took a deep breath, turned around to look at Qin Feiyong, and muttered, "Please, you must survive." Then, he held the dagger in his hand and cut open a bloody wound on Qin Feiyong's feet and hands. Black-colored blood immediately gushed out violently. There was also a foul stench that assailed their nostrils. "That blood is now equivalent to a highly toxic poison. Don't touch it." The Black Bear King warned and turned to walk into the depths of the cave. There was actually a secret door inside. Rumble! Pushing open the hidden door, a dazzling golden light shone out. It was a huge pile of gold coins. Like a small mountain, they piled up in the dark room. Ling Yunfei turned his head and looked curiously. He immediately swallowed his saliva. How much wealth had the Black Bear King accumulated over the years? This was the true definition of a rich man, so rich that oil flowed out of him. A short while later, the Black Bear King walked out of the secret room and closed the secret door. When he came to Ling Yunfei's side, he threw a palm-sized metal box to Ling Yunfei. There are 3 lifeblood pills inside. When the blood in his body is almost drained, give him 1. This is all I can do. Whether he can survive or not will depend on his willpower." The Black Bear King said. "Thank you, Senior Bear King." Ling Yunfei bowed and thanked him. At this moment, the Black Bear Cub carried the Wolf King into the cave. "How is it?" Ling Yunfei hurriedly stepped forward, his face full of worry. The Black Bear Cub growled a few times and put the Wolf King on the ground. The Black Bear King explained. This bastard wolf cub just fainted from exhaustion. He will be fine after resting for a while. Ling Yunfei breathed a sigh of relief. But immediately after, his expression became a little strange. Bastard wolf cub? Why did the Black Bear King's tone sound like he didn't like Wolf King? He didn't think too much about it. Sitting next to Qin Feiyang, he paid close attention to Qin Feiyang's situation. After dozens of breaths, Qin Feiyang's heartbeat and breathing had become extremely weak. His life was hanging by a thread. Seeing this, Ling Yunfei hurriedly gave him the first life blood pill. The life blood pill had the effect of creating blood. And the effect was extremely good. With the birth of new blood, Qin Feiyang's situation finally improved. The color of the blood flowing out of the wound was gradually changing. From black, it slowly turned dark red. Then from dark red, it turned into light dark red. After the effect of the second life blood pill passed, the blood that flowed out was already not much different from the blood of a normal person. However, it was also mixed with poison. Because at the beginning, Qin Feiyang had already entered the state of being poisoned to the heart. The poison had already integrated into his internal organs. It was impossible to completely eliminate it all at once. His condition has stabilized. It's a close call. Now, give him the third life blood pill. After a while, give him a healing pill and an antidote pill. The antidote pill should be able to dissolve all the poison remaining in his body. The Black Bear King laughed. Ling Yunfei nodded and did as he was told. Unknowingly, the sky was white, and everything woke up. But the rain did not stop, the wind did not disperse, and the sky and earth seemed particularly dark. After a nap, I feel refreshed. Wolf King also finally woke up. After asking Ling Yunfei about Qin Feiyang's situation, he walked to the entrance of the cave alone and looked at the dark sky, his eyes flashing with a terrifying murderous light. Thank heavens, little Qin's life is finally saved. However, Brother Wolf will not let go of those who hurt little Qin Zi. He muttered. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something and turned his head to look into the depths of the cave. His gaze was fixed on the secret door. The Black Bear King seemed to have been watching him. He suddenly glared and shouted, Wolf Cub, you'd better get rid of the thoughts in your head immediately, or don't blame me for being hostile. What thoughts? I don't know what you're talking about. Wolf King turned his head to look elsewhere with a guilty conscience, but his eyes kept rolling. At a glance, one could tell that he was up to no good. No, I have to get him to leave quickly, or he'll definitely have other ideas. The Black Bear King muttered secretly. Cough. At this moment, a coughing sound could be heard. I want water. Following closely, a weak and powerless voice sounded intermittently in the cave. Qin Feiyang. Ling Yunfei was the first to react and hurriedly squatted beside Qin Feiyang. Seeing that Qin Feiyang wanted to get up, he hurriedly said, Don't, you're still very weak, don't move. Wolf King also immediately ran up and said excitedly, Little Qin Zi, you're finally awake. Brother Wolf doesn't have to collect your corpse. Ling Yunfei said angrily, Ba, do you know how to talk? If you don't, then shut up. The Black Bear King and the Black Bear Cub also looked at him with disdain. Wolf King was a little embarrassed and laughed dryly. Qin Feiyang weakly glanced at Wolf King and said, I'm very thirsty, find me some water, lie down, I'll go find some water. Ling Yunfei nodded, got up, looked at the Black Bear King, and asked, Senior, is there any well water here? Well water? The Black Bear King looked at Ling Yunfei strangely. Was there something wrong with this kid's head? How could there be any well water in the wilderness? It said lightly, there is no well water, but there is ready-made rainwater. You can think of a way. Rainwater? Ling Yunfei frowned, grabbed the iron box with the life blood pill, and ran out of the cave. He came to a small tree and caught the rainwater on the leaves. Soon, the iron box was filled more than half. He hurried back to the cave and came to Qin Feiyang's side. He helped Qin Feiyang up with one hand and held the iron box with the other. He brought it to Qin Feiyang's mouth and said with a smile, Drink slowly. Thank you. Qin Feiyang gave his thanks and started to gulp it down. Ling Yunfei said, If it wasn't for you, I would have died in the poisonous insect's nest, so the person who should be thanking you is me. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and reached out to push the iron box away. He glanced around the cave and his gaze fell on the Black Bear King. He said with a smile, Senior, It seems that this junior owes you another favor. The Black Bear King said, you saved this king's child. This time, take it as repaying your favor. Qin Feiyong didn't say anything more, and carefully sensed the condition of his body. Other than feeling weak all over, there was no discomfort. You've already woken up, so you should leave. The Black Bear King suddenly ordered them to leave. Leave. Wolf King was stunned and said angrily, can't you see that little Qin Zi doesn't even have the strength to stand up? It's raining heavily outside, and the forest is also full of danger. You want us to leave now? Isn't it obvious that you want us to send ourselves to death? Ling Yunfei also stood up and cupped his hands. Senior Bear King, in fact, we risked our lives to come here this time to ask for your help. What kind of help? The Black Bear King said. We were blocked by the two families and the city lord's mansion. Ling Yunfei immediately explained the details of the situation in a simple and clear manner. After listening, the Black Bear King pondered for a moment and shook his head. This king can't help you with this matter. Why? Ling Yunfei asked anxiously. The Black Bear King said, do you know why this king and the people of Black Bear City have been able to live in peace? Ling Yunfei shook his head. It's because this king has never interfered in the affairs of you humans. Although this king's strength is stronger than those people of Black Bear City, it is only limited to Black Bear City. In other places, such as Yen City and Xingyue City, there are countless humans who are stronger than this king. Actually, in the end, this king doesn't want to attract trouble. Do you understand? The Black Bear King said. Ling Yunfei said unwillingly. Then the beast tied last time. Before he could finish, the Black Bear King said, the beast tied is because they hurt this king's child. If not for this king would never have done this. Ling Yunfei's brows were tightly knitted, and his face was quite ugly. He had narrowly escaped death to find the Black Bear King, but he didn't expect the other party to be unwilling to help. What should he do? Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. Since that's the case, then let's go. But it's useless for us to go back now. Ling Yunfei hurriedly said. Senior Bear King's concerns are not wrong. We can't be so selfish. Qin Feiyong smiled, raised his head and looked at the Black Bear King, his face full of apology, and said, Senior, I'm sorry, this junior didn't think it through and caused you trouble. The Black Bear King was a little surprised. It had originally thought that Qin Feiyong would definitely pester it to death, but who would have thought that he would be so sensible? Qin Feiyong turned to look at Ling Yunfei and said with a smile, help me up. Sigh. Ling Yunfei sighed deeply, reached out and grabbed Qin Feiyong's arm, and slowly helped him up. Qin Feiyong then looked at Wolf King and laughed. White-eyed wolf, I'll have to trouble you to carry me back. There's nothing I can do about it. Who asked Brother Wolf to get into trouble with you? Come on. Wolf King helplessly walked in front of Qin Feiyong. But at this time, the Black Bear King's eyes flashed, and suddenly said, Wait. No need for you to send us off. We can leave on our own. Wolf King was very unhappy now, because it knew that the Black Bear King's order to leave so quickly was purely targeted at it. The Black Bear King sighed. This king will send you off, but this king will not go near the Black Bear City. Whether or not you can enter the city will depend on your luck, but you cannot mention this matter to anyone, and even more so, you cannot tell anyone that you have anything to do with this king. Thank you, Senior Bear King. The two of us will definitely keep our mouths shut. Chapter 99. With the help of the Black Bear King, their journey was unimpeded. In less than 2 hours, they arrived at the edge of the Black Bear Mountain. The Black Bear King stopped in front of a small hill. From here, they could clearly see the Black Bear City. Qin Feiyong, Ling Yunfei, and Wolf King jumped down from the Black Bear King's shoulder and landed on the ground. The Black Bear King said, This king will send you here. Qin Feiyong's strength had also recovered a lot. He cupped his hands and said, Thank you, Senior. We'll meet again. The Black Bear King smiled and said, Hurry up and go. You must enter the Danwang Hall and the Martial King Palace, because these two forces are the only shortcut for you humans to reach the heavens in one step. We will. The two nodded. Qin Feiyong waved his hand and sent Wolf King into the castle. Then, he and Ling Yunfei turned around and walked towards the Black Bear City. This human kid is not simple. The Black Bear King looked at Qin Feiyong's back and muttered to himself. It didn't leave. Its eyes were fixed on Qin Feiyong and Mu Tiannan. Be careful. Qin Feiyong warned in a low voice. Ling Yunfei whispered. The two of them listened to their surroundings and looked around. If there was any movement, they would stop and check. After confirming that there was no danger, they continued to move forward. Because they were worried that the Jiang and Mu families and the City Lord's mansion's people might be lying in ambush nearby. There was no danger along the way. The two of them came to the edge of the forest. If they took another step forward, they would have a wide field of vision. So, before they walked out, they first had to make sure that there was no danger. The two of them lay in the grass and looked towards the city gate. Here, they could clearly see the faces of the people guarding the city gate. When the two of them saw it, they were immediately surprised. In front of the city gate, in addition to the guards of the City Lord's mansion, there were people from other forces. It's Guba! Qin Feiyong looked and was overjoyed. Guba stood in the middle of the city gate, so it was particularly eye-catching. Guba? Ling Yunfei thought carefully and said with surprise, if I didn't remember wrongly, he seems to be the Pill Hall's managing elder. That's right. Qin Feiyong said. Ling Yunfei was overjoyed. Since he's here, does that mean that the Hallmaster and the others have received the news? Definitely. Qin Feiyong nodded heavily. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Ling Yunfei could not wait to get up and run out of the jungle. Senior Bear King, although I didn't help much, I still have to thank you. Qin Feiyong also stood up and turned to look at the Black Bear King in front of the small hill, his face full of gratitude. Go. The Black Bear King opened its mouth and spat out these two words. Take care. Qin Feiyong said silently, then turned around and chased after Ling Yunfei. At the same time, he waved his hand and shouted, Elder Gu, I'm here. This voice? Gu Ba was bewildered. Following the sound, he was immediately overjoyed. He immediately ran toward Qin Feiyong and the other man. However, the eyes of the guards shone with a cold light. Seems like there's nothing for me to do. The Black Bear King smiled and turned to leave. But, without waiting for it to take a step. Boom. Suddenly, a loud noise came from behind. It was slightly stunned and turned around to look. Its pupils suddenly shrank. At the same time, Gu Ba's face also changed. He saw, in front of Qin Feiyong, two masked men in black broke out of the ground. In their hands, they each held a 3-feet-long sword that was shining with shocking sharpness. As soon as the two of them appeared, they rushed towards Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei like lightning. Stop. Seeing this, Gu Ba was anxious. With a roar, he hurried to rescue them. But this change came too suddenly. Moreover, the distance between the two masked men and Qin Feiyong was only 5 or 6 meters. Gu Ba couldn't come to rescue them in time. Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei were also caught off guard by this change. They never thought that, with Gu Ba in charge, there would be people lying in ambush underground, waiting for an opportunity to kill them. These people were simply desperados. Qing Feng. Close at hand. Qing Feng. Straight to the heart of the two. Obviously, the two masked men in black wanted to kill them with one blow. At this moment, Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei's situation could be said to be hanging by a thread. Even the two of them felt that half of their feet had already stepped into the gates of hell. Roar! But at this moment, a loud and clear roar of a beast suddenly exploded in the forest behind them. The roar directly covered the thunder. It was as if a king had appeared in the world, bringing with him a terrifying pressure. Not only did it shake people's ears, but even the blood in the body was uncontrollably surging. The arms of the two masked men in black trembled at the same time. With this tremble, the direction was deviated by a few inches. Puff! The two Qing Feng swords shone with cold light. One of them sank into Qin Feiyong's right shoulder. The other sank into Ling Yunfei's left shoulder. At this moment, blood splattered. Damn it! We actually missed. The two masked men in black roared in exasperation, quickly pulled out their Qing Feng swords, and swung it at the throat of Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei. You want to kill me when you are prepared. Dream on. Qin Feiyong's eyes surged with cold light. He grabbed Ling Yunfei, stepped on Luo Yan's steps, and retreated like lightning. Don't let them escape. One of them roared. The two of them revealed murderous intent and rushed forward again. Their speed was far beyond Qin Feiyang's. Wuzong! Qin Feiyang's pupils shrank. With the increase of Luo Yen's steps, his speed was comparable to a 9-star martial master. The two of them were faster than him, so they could only be Wuzong. He glanced at Gu Ba. Although Gu Ba was already rushing over, it would take at least 5 breaths to arrive. 5 breaths. Usually, it would be over soon. But in a fight, not to mention 5 breaths, even 1 breath was enough to kill. No. He couldn't just think about running for his life. At this time, counterattack was the best way to save his life. Because the other party would definitely not think that he would counterattack. Even more so, he would not think that he had a dagger that could cut iron like mud. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang turned his head and gave Ling Yunfei a look. Kill! The next moment, the two of them roared at the same time. Instead of retreating, they went forward and faced the 2 masked men in black. Murderous intent filled their eyes. The 2 masked men in black suddenly revealed a look of surprise. They actually took the initiative to rush forward? Were they courting death? Retreat quickly! Gu Ba was burning with anxiety and he roared furiously. If Jiang Haotian died in front of him, the temple master and the 2 hot-tempered elders would skin him alive. However, Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear. Seeing that the 2 masked men were distracted, he decisively took out the Chong Shui and seized the opportunity to swing the 2 green blades with force. Clang! In an instant, sparks flew everywhere. The 2 green blades were instantly broken by the Chong Shui. What? The 2 masked men were dumbfounded on the spot. What was that? It was actually so sharp? At this moment, Ling Yunfei launched a fierce attack. Heart-lock killing punch. With a roar, he threw a punch at the heart of the masked man on the left. True Qi gushed out and shone brightly. Bam! The fist landed. The masked man spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot and his entire body flew out from the impact. Little bastard, you are courting death. The other masked man was furious. He stepped on the ground and mud splashed all over the sky. Boom! He threw a palm at Ling Yunfei. The wind howled and the rain here evaporated instantly, turning into a vacuum zone. It was really amazing. However, in the face of such a terrifying palm, Ling Yunfei only grinned. Seeing this, the masked man felt a strong sense of uneasiness in his heart. He glanced at Qin Feiyang from the corner of his eye. His expression suddenly changed. Where was he? Wasn't he just next to me? How did he disappear in the blink of an eye? Behind you! He suddenly shivered and gave up attacking Ling Yunfei. He quickly turned around. But just as he turned around, a white dagger as white as jade pierced through the sky like lightning and with a puff, it sank into the top of his head. It turned out that, when the masked man attacked Ling Yunfei, Qin Feiyang also followed behind the masked man. And for this person, Qin Feiyang naturally would not be merciful. He directly pierced the masked man's head with his dagger. How is this possible? The masked man's pupils dilated quickly and his face was full of disbelief. Remember, never underestimate anyone. Sometimes, even an ant can defeat an elephant. Qin Feiyang sneered and pulled out the Chong Shui with force. Bang! The masked man fell on the spot and mud splashed everywhere. Blood kept gushing out from the wound on his head. In an instant, the rainwater here was dyed red. In the blink of an eye, the masked man who was sent flying by Ling Yunfei had just stabilized himself when he saw his companion fall to the ground and die. His heart was full of disbelief. A martial arts grandmaster was killed by a martial arts master? Ridiculous. This was really ridiculous. I'd like to see how capable you 2 little bastards are. He roared hysterically and rushed toward Qin Feiyang like a madman. His whole body was full of murderous intent. His hands were filled with genuine qi. Obviously, he was going to use martial arts. However, Qin Feiyang and the other man were indifferent. Their mouths were full of mockery. You dare to touch my pill hall's disciple. You really have the guts. Mountain-shattering fist. At this moment, a thunderous roar erupted. Gu Ba finally arrived and threw out a punch. Feeling the terrifying fist energy, the masked man was shocked. He quickly turned around and threw out a palm. At the same time he roared, Imperial Wind Palm. The fist and the palm collided together. Bang! Crack! The masked man was sent flying and his arm was broken. Gu Ba was like a big mountain, standing firmly in the rain and not moving at all. He strode to the side of the masked man and said with murderous intent in his eyes, "You're from the mayor's mansion. Seems like I have to spare your life." Qin Feiyong said in surprise, "Elder Gu, how do you know he's from the mayor's mansion?" Gu Ba said, "Because only the people from the mayor's mansion can cultivate martial arts like the imperial wind palm." Qin Feiyong clenched his fists and said in a deep voice, "Seems like he won't stop until he kills me." Gu Ba sneered, "Don't worry. As long as we bring him back, he won't be able to explain himself. By then, not to mention the mayor's mansion, he might not even be able to keep his life. Just wait and see." But before he finished speaking, the masked man suddenly hit his own chest with his palm. Puff! Instantly, blood spurted out. He looked at Qin Feiyong and the others with a ferocious expression and laughed. "Killing Zhang Haotian and Ling Yunfei was our idea. It has nothing to do with the mayor. You want to slander the mayor? Dream on." After saying that, he fell to the ground. Chapter 100. Qin Feiyong kept the Changshui and hurried over, asking, "Elder Gu, how is it?" Gu Ba said, "Dead." Qin Feiyong's eyes darkened. Once this person was dead, there would be no evidence. It would be impossible to bring down the city lord again. Because the city lord could pretend that he did not know anything or push the blame to others. Without solid evidence, no one would dare to touch him. After all, he was the city lord and represented the supreme authority. Gu Ba pulled off the black veils on their faces. They were indeed from the city lord's mansion. Qin Feiyong even recognized one of them. It was the guard captain who wanted to kill him. Ling Yunfei snorted. "They are martial arts grandmasters. How stupid of them to work for such a despicable person." They were all trained by the city lord and have long become the city lord's men of sacrifice. To them, death is not scary. What is scary is that they did not complete the mission given to them by the city lord. "All right, are your injuries okay?" Gu Ba looked at the two of them with concern. "We are fine." Qin Feiyong smiled. Gu Ba praised, "You even have the ability to kill a one-star martial arts grandmaster. I have to say that you are really amazing. You have far surpassed your peers. But don't be complacent. Continue to work hard." But Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei felt guilty about Gu Ba's praise. Because, if not for the two of them being distracted, they would not have the chance to fight back. Taking a step back, if Qin Feiyong did not Changshui, even if they had the chance, they would not have the ability to fight back. So in this there was more or less some luck and luck. Of course. Their ability was obvious to all. No one could deny it. But this time they survived. They should thank the Black Bear King the most. Because in the beginning, the two green swords were aimed at their hearts. If not for the Black Bear King's roar, their hearts would have been pierced. They would definitely have died on the spot. "Senior Bear King, thank you." Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei looked at the Black Bear Mountain with gratitude. He would definitely remember this kindness forever. Gu Ba also looked at the Black Bear Mountain. He naturally heard the roar just now. And at that time, when he felt the pressure, even he was shocked. But he did not think much about it. He did not think about the Black Bear King. Because in his opinion, Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei could not have known the Black Bear King. The high and mighty Black Bear King would not have helped two humans. It was probably a powerful beast that martial arts grandmaster level and happened to pass by this area. Gu Ba retracted his gaze and smiled. "Let's go back. The test should be starting soon." "Okay." Qin Feiyong nodded. When the three came to the city, the guards. Were the guards? And were the guards evidently. He was deeply shocked by the strength displayed by Qin Feiyong and Li Chia. At first, they all thought that their captain would be able to kill the two of them easily. But they did not. In the end, it was the captain who was killed by the two of them. 5-star martial masters already had such terrifying strength. When they become stronger in the future, wouldn't they be even more powerful? Humph. Go back and tell your mayor that the 3 leaders of the Pill Hall will visit him personally tomorrow. Ask him to prepare a reasonable explanation. Gu Ba glanced at them coldly. Then, he led Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei into the city. Ling Yunfei asked in surprise. Elder Gu, are we really going to the mayor's mansion tomorrow? Gu Ba sneered. Although there is no evidence, we have to deter him. Otherwise, he will not know how to restrain himself. Makes sense. Ling Yunfei nodded. Gu Ba said, but as long as you enter the Martial King Hall and the Danwang Hall, he will not be able to do anything to you. Soon. The three came to the Pill Hall. Gu Ba said to Qin Feiyang, you go in by yourself. I will send Ling Yunfei out to prevent any more trouble. Also, inform He Wu and the others. Qin Feiyang asked, where is Elder He? He is at the West City Gate. Because we don't know which direction you will come from, the Hallmaster asked me. He Wu and the 2 deacon elders of the Martial King Hall to guard 1 city gate each. Gu Ba said. So that's how it is. Qin Feiyang was enlightened. Pill Fire Hall. Everyone in the Pill Palace was currently gathered in the main hall. Right in front. The 4 of them sat on the chairs. There was a tea table beside each of them. There was a pot of tea and a teacup. They were Luo Xiong, Feng Cheng, Elder Mo, and Lin Chen. However, the 4 of them had different expressions. Luo Xiong closed his eyes and remained silent. Feng Cheng and Elder Mo looked outside the hall. They were expectant and angry. Lin Chen lowered his head and kept pouring tea. There was a trace of impatience between his brows. The atmosphere here was extremely heavy. The surrounding disciples did not dare to make any noise. On the left, Cheng Yi, Ling Yan, Ji Jin, and Lu Hong stood together and whispered. Cheng Yi asked, Ling Yan, did you find out? I found out. Ling Yan nodded and said in a low voice. There are people from the City Lord Mansion lying in ambush outside the 4 city gates. As long as Zhang Haotian appears, even if Gu Ba and the others are there, they will still die. Lu Hong smiled and said, if that's the case, this predetermined spot will definitely be yours, Senior Brother Cheng Yi. Ji Jin said flatteringly, Senior Brother, please take care of me in the future. Cheng Yi was overjoyed and said, don't worry. As long as I get the predetermined spot, I will definitely not forget about you guys. What are you guys talking about? Let Fat Lord hear about it too? At this moment, Fatso sneaked behind the 4 of them and laughed. Yo, damn Fatso. You actually dare to take the initiative to approach me. Aren't you afraid that I will skin you? The 4 of them immediately looked unfriendly. Heh, Fat Lord just happens to want to lose weight. Come, skin as much as you want. Fatso looked at the 4 of them provocatively. He looked like a dead pig that was not afraid of boiling water. This made the 4 of them very angry. However, with the 3 big shots present, they did not dare to flare up. Lu Hong said coldly, damn fat pig, after the assessment, I will slowly deal with you. At that time, if you have the guts, don't run away. You're so protective of Cheng Yi. Do you already have an affair with him? If Fat Lord remembers correctly, you and Ji Jin also seem to have some shady dealings, right? You're two-timing. You're really awesome, woman. Senior Brother Cheng Yi, Senior Brother Ji Jin, the 2 of you are really handsome. But if there were more green hats, it would be even more perfect. Just nice. Fat Lord has 2 here. It doesn't cost 998, nor does it cost 98. It only costs 8 gold coins. How about it? Fat Lord is loyal enough. Fatso laughed and took out 2 green hats, waving them in front of Cheng Yi and Ji Jin. I'll endure it. The 3 of them glared at Fatso, gnashing their teeth. Their lungs were about to explode from anger. You think it's expensive? All right, Fat Lord will suffer a loss this time. I'll give it to you for free. Come, come, come. Fat Lord will put it on for you. It will definitely look very good. After Fatso finished speaking, he really put the green hats on their heads. Ji Jin grabbed Fatso's wrist and growled, damn Fatso, if you continue to mess around, I'll kill you. Without Zhang Haotian's help, I'll see how you can survive in the Pill Palace. Cheng Yi smiled coldly and ignored Fatso. Kill Fat Lord? A cold light flashed past Fatso's eyes. He threw away the 2 green hats and took out 2 daggers. What are you trying to do? The 4 of them were shocked. Nothing. Nothing. Fatso hurriedly shook his head. He looked at the 4 of them with a flattering smile and said, I was just joking just now. I hope senior brothers and sisters don't mind. If any of you can help me hold it, I promise to give you a huge surprise. The four of them looked at each other and ignored him. Fatso took the initiative and stuffed the daggers into Ji Jin and Ling Yan's hands. "What are you trying to do?" They frowned. Fatso laughed evilly. He grabbed Ji Jin's wrist with his right hand and Ling Yan's wrist with his left hand. He actually used his strength to stab his own chest. Ji Jin and Ling Yan's expression changed. The tip of the two daggers instantly cut through Fatso's clothes and was about to pierce his skin. "Bastard, what are you trying to do?" Ji Jin and Ling Yan hurriedly pulled back. They shouted at the same time. "Murder! Palace Master Elder, save me!" Fatso also roared in fear at this moment. His entire face turned ghastly white in an instant. Ji Jin and Ling Yan were stunned. At this moment, everyone's gaze gathered on the three of them. They all felt that it was unbelievable. They actually dared to kill Fatso in front of the three great leaders? Were Ji Jin and Ling Yan's brains damaged? Bang! Suddenly, a loud noise sounded in the hall. Everyone looked over and immediately kept quiet out of fear. Feng Cheng's face was gloomy. His old big hand suddenly slammed on the tea table. Crack! The tea table was torn apart on the spot. The teacups and teapot fell to the ground and broke into pieces. The three great leaders were already extremely irritated. Seeing this, they were instantly furious. Fatso, Ling Yan, and Ji Jin were also shocked. The two daggers fell to the ground and hit the ground with dazzling sparks. "Elder!" Ji Jin hurriedly took a step forward and was about to accuse Fatso. "Elder Hallmaster, you must uphold justice for this disciple." However, Fatty was the first to shout. "Just now, I heard them talking about Jiang Haotian. I said that Jiang Haotian might still be alive. But I didn't expect that they actually immediately pointed their daggers at me. If I hadn't reacted in time, I would have died in their hands now." He ran to the three great leaders and knelt on the ground. He cried with snot and tears. "Nonsense! You were the one who gave us the daggers. Elder Palace Master, he's accusing us first and framing us." Ji Jin and Ling Yan hurriedly defended themselves. They were so angry that smoke was coming out of their heads. Fatso glared at the two of them and shouted angrily, "You're good. You're actually trying to frame me. Who in the pill hall doesn't know that I'm the most cowardly? I don't even dare to kill a pig. How would I dare to kill myself with a dagger?" "Enough, all of you shut up," Luo Xiong shouted coldly. He glanced at the three of them and said coldly, "It's unforgivable to hurt a fellow disciple. Ji Jin and Ling Yan are disqualified from the examination. Get out of the pill fire hall immediately and go to the pig cage to reflect on your mistakes." "No. Palace Master, we're innocent." Their faces instantly turned green. They hurriedly knelt on the ground and shouted. Chapter 101. The two deacon elders hurriedly ran in. Without saying a word, they directly dragged the two of them and ran towards the pig cages. "Thank you, Palace Lord. Thank you, elders." Fatso kowtowed 3 times and 9 times, grateful to the point of tears. But in his heart, he was laughing sinisterly. Little guy, fighting with Fat Lord was simply courting death. Subsequently, he got up and returned to Cheng-Yi and Lu Hong's side, whispering, "Are you satisfied with this extra big surprise? You're ruthless, but let's see how long you can be arrogant." Cheng-Yi's eyes flashed coldly. "Then we'll see." Fatso chuckled, rolled his eyes and said, "Lu Hong, why didn't Fat Lord deal with you?" Lu Hong furrowed her brows. Fatso laughed. "Because you're too dirty. Fat Lord is afraid of touching your hand and dirtying Fat Lord's pure heart." The anger in Lu Hong's heart suddenly soared crazily. "Don't be impulsive. He wants to get rid of us one by one. This way, he will have a chance to enter the Danwang Hall. Endure it first, wait for the assessment to end, then slowly deal with him." Cheng-Yi hurriedly grabbed Lu Hong's wrist and whispered. At this time, Lin Chen put down the teacup, turned to look at Luo Xiong, and smiled. "Palace Lord Luo, it's getting late, shouldn't we draw up the list?" "This." Luo Xiong hesitated. Cheng-Yi took a step forward and said respectfully, "Palace Lord, this disciple knows that you're waiting for Jiang Haotian, but he hasn't returned yet. There's a high chance that he's already dead. You can't let Lord Lin Chen accompany us to waste time just because of a dead person, right?" Lin Chen nodded, praising Cheng Yi. Hee hee, do you really want me to die that much? But I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. I'm still alive and well. At this time, a faint laughter was heard, with a strong sense of ridicule. Zhang Haotian. Fatso's fat body suddenly trembled. At the same time, Feng Cheng, Elder Mo, and Luo Xiong were also overjoyed. They all stood up and looked outside the hall. A youth dressed in sackcloth walked through the storm towards Pillfire Hall. There was a sword wound on his shoulder that was still bleeding. His face was also as pale as a sheet of paper, but his eyes were like torches, extremely spirited. How is this possible? If he can come back alive like this, could it be that he can fly? Cheng Yi and Lu Hong were in disbelief. Lin Chen curiously sized up Qin Feiyang. From the looks of it, there was nothing outstanding about this person. Why was he so valued by Luo Xiong and the other two? Fatso pushed through the crowd and ran out of the main hall to welcome Qin Feiyang. He laughed and said, Zhang Laoda, Fat Lord knew that your luck is bigger than Daifuku's. You won't die. Qin Feiyang stared blankly for a moment before he said, looking at your flushed appearance, did you do some despicable business again? Fatso said unhappily, what are you talking about? Fat Lord is a good youth that everyone loves. Let me tell you, don't ruin Fat Lord's reputation. You still have a reputation? Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. In terms of shamelessness, even White-Eyed Wolf was less than 1/10,000th of this guy. Fatso laughed and said, to be honest, Fat Lord did something big just now. Immediately, he whispered to Qin Feiyang about how he framed Ji Jin and Ling Yan. After listening, Qin Feiyang had a strange look in his eyes. Ji Jin and Ling Yan had just come out of the pig cage, but they were thrown back in again. They probably hated Fatso to the core. Not bad, well done. Keep it up. Qin Feiyang patted Fatso's shoulder. Although it wasn't glorious, it was indeed satisfying. After entering the main hall, the crowd automatically separated. Qin Feiyang walked in front of the three great leaders and cupped his hands. Greetings to Hallmaster and the two elders. Feng Cheng was about to get angry, but when he saw the sword wound on Qin Feiyang's shoulder, he immediately revealed a worried look and asked, what happened to your sword wound? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. When I just came back, 2 cats and dogs suddenly jumped out, and I was accidentally injured. But it doesn't matter, it won't affect the alchemy. Cats and dogs? The surrounding disciples were puzzled. But the three great leaders were very clear. However, now was not the time to pursue the matter. Luo Xiong turned to look at Lin Chen and smiled. I won't write the list, just say it directly. The internal quota belongs to Zhang Haotian, and the other 2 quotas will be decided by the survival of the fittest however. Before Luo Xiong finished speaking, Cheng Yi took a step forward and said in a deep voice, Hallmaster, I refuse to accept this. Step down. Luo Xiong shouted. Lin Chen smiled. Hallmaster Luo, why don't we first listen to the reason why he refuses to accept this? Luo Xiong raised his eyebrows and nodded. All right, Cheng Yi, if you have something to say, just say it, don't waste time. Hearing this, Cheng Yi's heart was suddenly filled with a thick flame of anger. Zhang Haotian only came now, wasn't it good that he wasted time? But he didn't even blame him. He only said one sentence, and he actually said that he was wasting time. Isn't this favoritism a bit too much? Phew! He took a deep breath and cupped his hands. As everyone knows, Zhang Haotian is only a backdoor entrant, but what about us? We relied on our own efforts to get to where we are today. So I hope that Hallmaster can be fair and just. Backdoor entrant? Lin Chen frowned and asked, Cheng Yi, who is he related to? Cheng Yi said, he has an engagement with Elder Feng's granddaughter. Lin Chen's pupils suddenly shrank. Deep in his eyes, there was even a trace of cold light. But he immediately covered it up and turned to look at Luo Xiong. He smiled. Hallmaster Luo, you know the rules of the pill hall better than I do. You can't play favoritism. Feng Qing suddenly stood up and said, what a joke. How come I didn't know that Zhang Haotian has an engagement with my granddaughter? Cheng Yi said respectfully. Elder Feng, Zhang Haotian said it himself. Lin Chen smiled. Since it's like this, then we'll choose someone else for this predetermined spot. Hallmaster Luo, I heard from you yesterday that Cheng Yi seems to have a 6th level mental strength. Why don't we choose him? Thank you, Lord Lin Chen. Cheng Yi was wild with joy. He hurriedly bowed and thanked him. I haven't agreed. Why are you thanking me? Luo Xiong said. The displeasure on his face became more obvious. Cheng-yi, I'll give you a chance. Back off. Don't ask for trouble. Why should I back off? Hallmaster, I respect you very much, but I didn't expect you to be so selfish. I don't dare to say in the path of martial arts, but in the path of alchemy, I have absolute confidence that I can crush Jiang Haotian. In the end, Chang-yi had completely lost his sense of propriety and directly challenged Luo Xiong. Lin Chen smiled faintly. A 6th level mental strength is considered one of the best in the Danwang Hall. I think it's settled. The predetermined spot will be given to him. Is a 6th level mental strength that great? Qin Feiyong, who had been silent all this time, finally spoke. There was a strong sense of contempt in his words. What did you say? Cheng-yi suddenly turned around and stared coldly at Qin Feiyong. His gaze was aggressive. Lin Chen also raised his eyebrows without leaving a trace. Qin Feiyong was disdainful. He turned to look at Luo Xiong and the other two with a questioning expression. Feng Cheng glanced at Lin Chen and Cheng-yi, then said to Qin Feiyong, We've been waiting for this moment. Go ahead and do it. Hearing this, Qin Feiyong smiled and turned around to look at Cheng-yi. He said indifferently, Crush me? Do you have the qualifications to do so? Cheng-yi clenched his fists and said word by word. Then let's give it a try. Qin Feiyong said, How do we do it? Say it. Alchemy, of course. The spot will go to whoever can refine the highest quality pill. Do you dare? Cheng-yi looked at him provocatively. Qin Feiyong laughed and said, Why don't we add another condition? The loser will be at his mercy, even if he's killed on the spot. What? The disciples were shocked. If that was the case, it wouldn't be a simple competition for a spot, but a bet of life and death. Luo Xiong and the other two couldn't help but frown. Although they were a little dissatisfied with Cheng-yi's current performance, they were still optimistic about Cheng-yi's future. As for Qin Feiyong's alchemy skills, they knew better than anyone else. If the bet of life and death was successful, Cheng-yi would definitely die. This kind of thing couldn't happen. The three of them were about to stand up and stop him. But Cheng-yi was a step ahead of them. Okay, it's decided. No. Elder Mo shouted. Cheng-yi turned to look at Elder Mo and bowed. Elder, this is a joint decision between Jiang Haotian and I. Please don't interfere. Lin Chen smiled. It's quite interesting. Elder Mo, just let them be. Furthermore, I don't believe that they'll really kill each other. At most, they'll humiliate each other with a few words. It's not important. This. Elder Mo looked at Luo Xiong and Feng Cheng. Luo Xiong waved his hand impatiently. Forget it, forget it. Let them be. Humph. They really won't cry until they're in the coffin. Feng Cheng snorted coldly. He was naturally talking about Cheng-yi. However, Cheng-yi was oblivious to it and looked at Qin Feiyong with his head held high. Are you going first or should I? Whatever. Qin Feiyong shrugged. I'll go first then. Open your eyes and watch what's called alchemy. Cheng-yi smiled in disdain and strode towards the corridor. At this moment, Lin Chen said again, in order to save time, you guys might as well refine the simplest healing pill at the same time. Cheng-yi, you use the first alchemy room. Jiang Haotian, you use the second alchemy room. Thank you, Lord Lin Chen. Cheng-yi was overjoyed and hurriedly bowed to thank him. However, Qin Feiyong frowned. What did this Lin Chen mean? He actually assigned the first alchemy room to Cheng-yi? Although the first and second alchemy rooms only had a difference of one number, whether it was the alchemy fire or the alchemy furnace, they were not on the same level. As everyone knew, the quality of the alchemy fire and the alchemy furnace would affect the quality of the pills. Wasn't this person obviously helping Cheng-yi? Lin Chen seemed to have sensed Qin Feiyong's displeasure and smiled. Jiang Haotian, in order to prove that you're not a backdoor entrant, I gave you the second alchemy room. I've put in a lot of effort. Don't let me down. Qin Feiyong was a little stunned. He could tell that this person was purely a hypocrite who hid a knife behind a smile. Don't worry. I definitely won't let you down. After Qin Feiyong finished speaking, he walked towards the second alchemy room. However, the corner of his mouth pursed into a deep mocking smile. He wanted to scheme against him with such a small trick? What a joke. Later, he would know how childish this behavior was. However, he could not figure it out. It was only the first time he met this person. There was no enmity between them. Why would he deliberately target him? You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.